Welcome everyone to the FATED ARPG Podcast, episode number 120. We've all had plenty of time in the Affliction League 3.23 Path of Exile, and we're here today to once again discuss our findings, our experience with the King of the Mist, what we're doing with our main build, whether we re-rolled, and all the fun stuff. But before we get into that, I quickly want to thank everyone for subscribing, commenting, and liking the content. We're almost out of the hole with the YouTube algorithm, and everything's going well. The massive support is appreciated. Everyone who has bought a purchased subscription on YouTube, Twitch, or Patreon will be shown on the end screen as usual, and you can get there as well if you just support with as little as a $1 monthly contribution on Patreon. Then, that said, without further ado, here is our co-host, BalorMage. How are you doing, Balor?
Why, hello. I'm doing pretty good. I'm on to like build number 4.
Four already?
I think
I missed like 2 in the middle, I guess. Oh, we'll talk about that with our esteemed solo self-found guests. Please welcome with me the one and only grumpy stepdad of the Path of Exile community. Here is Lighty. How are you doing, Lighty?
I'm doing good. How you doing, guys?
Should I give you a moment with your pizza?
We're fine.
All right.
It's all good.
All good. And then, of course, you brought your teammate, the +1 podcast mate, and, of course, also one of our previous guests, the one and only chill homeboy, Leggy. How are you doing, Leggy?
Hello. I'm doing great as well, honestly. Enjoying the league. Enjoying the gaming.
So good. I don't want to stop playing. It's so good.
Well, it's even better when you get lucky as well. So,
yeah, I heard like you managed to get yourself your hands on a skull belt extremely early this league again.
I have a history with dropping some belts.
Yeah, a belt here.
This one was pretty okay. Pretty okay.
Nice. What build did you start with, by the way? Just for context, I only seen that post of the Headhunter, but what is the build that you found it with?
Well, I only play one build ever, a Deadeye main. So I started lightning our Deadeye into Tornado Shot. Well, that's obviously a joke, but yeah, it's a very strong build. So I'm still not bored with it, and yeah, it's been great. It's been very, very good. Bows are strong. Who would have thought?
Yeah. I noticed that myself in Blast from the Past, and I was very tempted to do the lightning arrow thing again on this league start. But yeah, I thought switch up some things, like the man Lighty, who always switches up things completely randomly by throwing objects at objects.
Yeah.
What did you throw this time? Was it?
Well, I was shooting cans with BB guns. That was how I picked my build this league. My league starter was bullshit. Unfortunately, I had to start as a Cleave of Rage Berserker, which if you were in Trade League, it'd be totally fine. It's just in solo self-found, it was like you just get nothing to start with, and like having to grind out rage gear feels terrible. Being forced to use a sword and an axe at the same time is like just an unnecessary burden on your gear. But it's fine. The build's fine. I've made. I think I'm on my 4th 90 now. In the past week and a half, so we're just playing things.
Nice, good stuff. And Balor, you did the exploding specters that you called popcorn specters. I guess everyone calls any kind of exploding minion build popcorn.
Yeah.
I've seen you take on some Uber bosses with it. That was really juicy.
In the bullshit gear that it had, which is very limited in the private league, not only did I kill Ubers, which is something I can't do normally, I also had the easiest feared encounter of my life, and I had rolled it at like 80 quant. And it was easier than I've ever done any feared encounter before, even the white ones that I normally just run feared like scoured to get my point and then never go back in there. And this build was just so automated and so powerful that I was just like, I did it and it already had 80 quant in it. And I was like, it'll be fine. I just put it in and it was fine. No problem. It actually might be the best build I've ever played. It's not the highest DPS, nor is it the tankiest, but it's the best level of automation that I've ever had. You can't screw up. All you have to do is walk around and dodge things. There's absolutely nothing to do except walk around and dodge things. And that makes things real easy.
Yeah. Actually, for those of the listeners who don't know, I actually started with something that's very boss capable and probably will be able to take Ubers on as well. But I'm a little bit slower than Balor, and I'm playing a build that actually requires to skillfully use the combo. So I'm a little bit jealous at the ease that you took those encounters down with. But my explosive trap trickster is shaping up. I finally made a really good alternating scepter and got some good stuff going. Right after the last podcast, though, I was feeling like I reached a plateau with the build, and I just didn't really feel like mapping war with it. So I started rolling a Slayer because I really wanted to try that Winter Orb Slayer goodness. But yeah, the character is still in acts because I actually off stream went back to the Trapper, made a bunch of upgrades happen, and now I'm having more fun again running with that one. So I don't know when I'm actually going to get around to doing the Slayer. But did you want to? You said you had 4 builds, Balor? What is the new build that you're on now, and like what's the 2 builds in between that I completely missed?
Count them. I think maybe I'm thinking of my 4th build. This might be my 3rd one because I started with Hex Blast. It got everything done. I almost regret playing Hex Blast, not because it was bad. It was actually very good, but just because it wasn't new. But there were so many new things, I was stuck with like decision paralysis. I couldn't make up my mind. So I just went, you know what? I'm just going to go back to the thing I was planning before we got all of the notes because I can't make a choice. So Hex Blast was great. It just, not new. Then there was that one. And now I'm doing Lightning Trap of Sparking. So it must be 3rd. Which Lightning Trap of Sparking is great. It basically turns Lightning Trap into Spark. It's insane.
So your traps just fire sparks or what?
Well, so instead of firing like in a nova, it fires in a cone, which doesn't matter if you're trap build because you're throwing 3 traps at once, so it goes everywhere anyway. It looks like a nova. It has infinite pierce, just infinite pierce. And then if it collides with any terrain, it chains. That chain can retarget the same mob. So if there's only one mob, it'll get hit on the way out, it'll hit a wall, then it'll come back and hit it again. And then if you put return projectiles with it, it'll fly out the other side and then come back and hit it a 3rd time.
That sounds extremely fun.
If there's a wall, everything can get hit 3 times. If there's not a wall, everything can get hit twice. And so far it's been pretty good. I'm on board with it so far. But I did only just level it to maps. Like I just got to maps on level 80 something now. Just leveling up. Don't have cluster setups in or anything like that. So we'll see. We'll see how well it scales. I don't think it's going to be able to keep up with Explosive Trap. I think I'm probably going to end up with like 10 million DPS when the Explosive Trap would have like 40. But
that sounds about right. I best conditions right now I got 17.5 million Shaper DPS, but that's with values of Scorch that I'm realistically not able to hit, right, without scaling ailments further.
But for a long time, Lightning Trap's been like my favorite trap. It just hasn't been good enough to play. And now it's definitely good enough to play. So I'm pretty happy about it.
Some people would disagree with the good enough to play. I mean, Tarky has brought it to endgame, and like many people played Lightning Trap. I don't know.
In many leagues.
Yeah, that's true. It's a while ago.
It hasn't been good enough in a while.
Right. Do you have your eye on any builds that you want to do, Leggy, when you move on from what you're currently doing? I mean, the options are like limitless right now, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Like, I usually approach the league very like methodically and in very well, I'd say smart way, right? So I do my chores first week or two on like a decent build, and then we can have some fun with actual nice gear and good stuff you can use. So
So you're currently in that first phase, I take it.
Pretty much. I'm almost done with it. So like almost done. I have all the farming done. So the builds I'm looking for are well, a book from Ladies is the Cleave of Rage, but with actual gear. So it's gonna be easier. So I've been baited by my chat by that. People are not happy that I only play Deadeye for a year. So let's play something else, and then
just make it a Pathfinder bow build just to fuck with them.
Well, that's also on the table, but that's a bit later. But for the interesting build, so yeah, Cleave of Rage, and I want to play the Penance or Stormbrand Inquisitor. So one of those.
Both of those look really good. They're on my list too.
Yeah, they look really good. They
so good.
They work very well mechanically. They have insane damage, obviously, especially Penance Brand. The Penance Brand looks like a gauntlet winner in my book, so we'll see about that.
Oh.
And yeah.
In our group, Manny was playing Penance Brand, and I also made a Penance Brander. He's at, I think, 99, and he's been doing mostly bossing, and I just got to 94 or 95, and I've been doing some bossing. It's definitely feels like it outperforms any other brand historically for single target. It's clear as like kind of okay, but that's why Stormbrand exists. So you could just, like the builds and gear are like 95% identical.
My understanding is the Penance brand needs conversion. But you can, but even if you're set up for conversion, if you just slot Stormbrand in and like, oh no, I wasted a suffix on my gloves, you can now clear maps. Great, right? Like, whatever.
Yeah, conversion is a prefix.
Oh yeah. So
you get
a glove mod. Like, who cares, right?
Be technical. You also get the master gun tree. So that is not a big deal.
But yeah, both the brands are very good. Just play it. Just swap.
I swap. You swap 2 gems. So like if you don't have Empower, you're probably running Fizz to Lightning unless you have gloves and Mastery. So I like take that out and I put in like Added Lightning or Awaken something, and then I just put in Stormbrand for Penance, and then basically the same thing.
I mean, when you look at the POB of that skill, like this skill is like overtuned by like 3 times. Honestly, they turn the knob and they turn it on and on and on, and it's still going. So yeah, it's like with very basic gear, you can like pull out 10, 15 mil DPS. So that is stupid.
Is that really bad though? Because I feel like there's been builds that can do that forever. But the boss killers just run the same build over and over again because there weren't more options. Now there's just more options.
I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just the skill is just absolutely freaking broken. The numbers are not right.
For the Inquisitor variation, if you're trying to compare to like what was a previous kind of Uber out the gate starter build, something like Seismic Trap, you have basically the same damage for all intents and purposes with the same level of investment. But Inquisitor feels a lot tankier and is a lot more comfy to play, I think, previously than like Saboteur was or something else. Because you're walking around with like you have the EB Mom thing with like the 5 to 8% regen on both. You're quite tanky from where you are positioned to the tree. You can still get suppression cap. Like the build just feels very well rounded. More so, I think, than previous low investment.
More so than Saboteur? Because Saboteur has like all the blind and the ailment immunity and all that. I mean, back when Saboteur was winning gauntlets on Seismic Trap, it was a pretty good build. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I just think like the level of comfort when it comes to bossing, like the Inquisitor, to me feels a lot better because a lot of those things are kind of not super important. Like I don't think Uber XR cares if he's blinded when I get one shot. Like that doesn't really make a difference for me. But I feel having the level of tankiness, the level of suppression, level of armor. You don't really need to have like any sort of offensive investment also.
The biggest difference is like how the builds play. Like if we compare those 2 builds, like Trapper versus Brand build, like on a Brand build, you first of all on the Penance brand you scale duration, right? So you have your Penance brand that you cast once and it stays on target for like 12 seconds.
Yep.
And you do nothing for 12 seconds. And you
The
recast
damage
it.
just goes up and up and up and up and up as the
And you
longer
just
that
stay,
duration's on for.
It's just insane mechanically and could just dodge for 10 seconds and do nothing. Like not comparable to Sabo at all.
I was thinking about making a Pathfinder version of it. How much worse do you reckon that'd be?
It's gonna be better with gear. Like Pathfinder is the best ascendancy, and
That's what I think.
More clicking though.
Stupid.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why would it be more
pushing your
clicking?
flask.
No, the automate flasks. Never going to push a flask in a Pathfinder.
I mean, if you were trying to min-max, you probably would.
That ain't me.
The only thing that Balor min-maxes is his amount of button presses.
That's fair.
I min them, is what I do with that hat.
Yeah.
The minimum amount of buttons, please.
Yeah, it feels good. Like the brands feel good. They don't feel like they definitely feel really, really strong. But to me, thinking of other builds in past history, like it doesn't feel like if I didn't play this league, it'll never be this good again. It just feels like really, really, really good, but not like
this is like the flavor of the month. Great, which is
maybe
fantastic,
like when Blade Flurry came out, or like Winter Orb came out, or even like Forbidden Right Totems. I remember thinking when I played, I was like, this feels like something is wrong, like a little bit, like something is maybe wrong. You know,
you could like instantly tell you like, I get to play this league. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, any build that's using any of the new specters, I would be more afraid of losing.
Oh yeah.
Than because I haven't really delved too much into them, but I know from talking to people and seeing them, almost every build right now can just run a 4-link with a specter that gives you some tremendous boost. That seems a bit crazy considering like how much of a power spike we just got from charms and stuff. So like on top of that, you can have like a turtle following you around, giving you like level 30 determination or whatever, you know, that sort of stuff feels kind of goofy.
Or you can just Eternal Blessing the marionettes and or Guardian's Blessing the marionettes and just.
Yeah, that seems a bit strange. I will say like this kind of reminds me of like I have very limited complaints this league. Most of them are involving like tweaks to the actual Wildwood mechanic and that sort of stuff, which I think a lot of them are shared. But one of them is like the feeling of seeing the marionettes and seeing how they function really makes other specters feel kind of shit because it's like this thing has that redundancy that like a golem has on an elementalist. That's like I wish there was just like why couldn't we just have that for all specters, but just have it on like a 10-second cooldown? Like add a downside to it because the infrastructure on minions is like so terrible, and it has been for, like, especially for
as soon as I started playing with them, I had the same thought. I was like, if this was just even like a 10 or 20 seconds after death, they would resummon themselves.
It makes
or you could make it something like 5 seconds after they resummon themselves, and then they sit in stasis for like 5 seconds and can't do any damage while they rebuild or whatever. But like something that just stops me from having to do the bullshit part, right? Like the bullshit part. I
would love to have like a WoW style stable for my specters where I could just like pick and choose. I mean, that's the dream, you know, but anything is better than what we have right now. Like it's it's kind of crazy.
Themselves.
Like you think about how the specters, how it's existed. Like we used to make low-level dueling characters when that was a thing. Just to spec. It's so shit. Like it's so shit that nothing's changed. Like how is this possible? After
there's so many things like that.
Years?
It's stupid. It's actually stupid.
Well, to be fair, like specters were also back when they were so clunky and required that much micromanagement. They were also insanely OP. Like they were among the strongest builds in the game with the proper gear. Or am I wrong? I mean, Balor is the one who should call me out if I'm wrong, because Balor's been playing it back then.
They were very, very strong. Like when you had redemption sentries, when you had syndicate operatives, they're strong, but you still have like a gaggle of idiots you're in charge of. Like that never changes to a degree. And like if they die for reasons, you still have to resummon, you still have to go through the desecrate thing. It's like it never really goes away.
There was a time when specters were so strong they probably deserved a nerf. They got like 6 nerfs after that wasn't the case anymore. I'm happy that at least some of them are useful now. You'll find that there's still no one playing like Spectre builds except the Explode ones.
Yeah.
People got briefly really excited about the Hydra Specters because like MP and Snap and their team were running them. But then everybody who tried them came up against the exact problem I told them they would, which is you can't keep them alive yourself. The reason they were so good in that 6-man party is because there were 5 supports and those kept them alive. They were doing great damage and great coverage. As a solo player, they're dead.
There's a couple of specters you can keep alive through a lot, but you're still playing then you're just playing a traditional specter build still, like the harvest crabs, the big blue ones that make the torrents of water. Like those have tremendous amounts of life and resistance, but your screen is now flooded in shit you can't see. They're still like a kind of a mediocre melee specter, and it's just like you're going through all this extra work just to make a build that's like, or you could just play one of the 10 SRS builds and outperform it. It just feels feels like you're doing a lot for little.
Well, I'm enjoying the Spectre talk. I have no idea what you guys talking about, but being on these, enjoy your Spectres.
Well, speaking of Spectres, the one thing I saw that I really want to make, and I think it's still going to be shit, is the triple Reaper. I've loved Reaper so much on paper, and it really.
I'm the same. I'm the same.
I built it I made the +4 bow, like with the int, the whole thing, level 4 empowered. It feels good for single target damage, kind of, but it still doesn't feel that good. So I'm really curious how the triple Reaper is going to be.
Yeah, I think with the new Reaper, that was the gem I was the most excited about. As a minion hater, it was oh, Reaper, that's the one I want to play. So that's it's one of the month 2 builds for me. So I'll definitely visit that. So
and
we'll see if that can be done. Yeah.
So with that also, it's kind of funny because I every time I played a build, I've gone through normal lab to get my trans gems because I wanted to get other trans gems as a byproduct, right? So if I'm playing a blue build, it's like a 1 in 30 to hit the gem you want off of a font. So I would just do that because I knew as a byproduct, I'll probably get every other gem I want to get this league. And I've gone dry doing that twice now. So I have all the red gems, all the blue gems. So I've always put them on and test them. There's a lot of funny things with these trans that they don't say. Like the Reaper one, it doesn't actually say that their size is smaller, but if you summon the triple Reaper, they're like half the size as the regular Reapers. They're like little mini Reapers running around.
Nice.
There's a lot of little fun things like that. There's a ton of flavor they've added to the trans gems that you like. The SRS, the one that's bigger, it doesn't say it's 100% size, but it is 100% size. So you get big boy SRSs running around. There's tons of stuff.
It breaks the MTXs.
It does, yeah.
All the MTXs are still sized for the normal size SRS, so it's just double the size.
Yep.
It was okay.
Yeah, and I there's a lot of things I want to play because there's so many. We've talked about this patch being, I think, overall a great revitalization to build diversity. On the face value, even if 90% of the builds are actually shit, we still want to try them, because there's a lot of fun things out there. There's probably still going to be the same 10 best builds, and that's fine. It'll always be like that because Path, but there's such a bevy of things. I'd love to try the big blade trap with the 2-hand. I want to try the triple Reaper. I want to try the arc of that does the weird chaining. I made it the exsanguinate build with the 21 exsanguinates. That's super fun feeling. But there's so many gems. There's so many gems to mess around with. It's endless.
Oh yeah.
Endless trash right now.
I don't know, man. All the new gems seem like all the good. I don't see any reason to play any of the old skills. Not that they're bad. It just, I've already played all those. These are all new and seemingly really good. Quite a few of them are so good. There's some stinkers in there, but just not going to try those. I'm going to try all the other ones that look really good.
I feel there's still a lot of things to be discovered. We are pretty early into the league, and I'm suspecting it's going to be a extended league as well. That's my suspicion. Let's try.
I hope so.
There.
For the first time ever. Yeah. I hope so.
Just the baseline.
People gonna cook. I feel like people gonna cook, and we're gonna see some interesting stuff coming out soon.
I hope we see some innovation in a gauntlet. First of all, I hope we see a gauntlet, but then secondly, I hope that there will be some innovation there, some tech that is has been previously unknown on the wide scale. Like,
I think Penance Brand wins. Like I'm gonna call it right now. Penance Brand wins. Like there's no other way. Like people are gonna like do some mapping style, character first, farm the Penance Brand, and just
Exile or ban?
They do. Obviously ban. Like I love Nick, but lucky. It is what it is.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Dude, not to sidetrack your meta talk about skill gems, because there's going to be, you probably have some interesting things to bring up. But when you just mentioned the small reapers, I had to remember I went onto the Reddit today when I was on the road, and there was someone who posted screenshots of the first character with 84% reduced character size.
Yep, little tiny. Yeah.
Right there between Einhar's legs. The little thing, the little figurine there next to his right foot. And then in the comments, someone said that you should do one of the new Valdo maps that have the mods players have 50% reduced character size.
Yep.
Have you guys seen any cool Valdo maps?
Nope.
No? How many puzzle boxes did you open? Or you just like... Well, you're in a private league battler, so you're not selling them. Some people in trade would be selling them because they sell like hotcakes at the moment. But
yeah, all the good stuff has void on it that we've seen, and I know that like some people are like excited by that and want to run it or whatever. But like, I quit playing hardcore for a reason. I'm not interested in doing a void map for any reward. Like, if I'm in a trade league, I'll just buy a Mage Blood. I'm not running one of those maps and risking my character. Hard pass. See ya.
well, if it's like the last thing that you do in the league, why not?
Well, if it's the last thing I do, then why?
Yep.
Got 4 of them. 2 of them, I think, actually, the 3 of them is void for a garbage unique. I'm honestly like really salty about this entire
me too.
entire Valdo thing. I'm actually like really salty. First of all, from
you're not a fan of the
GGG.
Implementation from GGG or for the players that implemented it. That's what I was gonna ask.
All of it for me.
All of it, yeah, both.
Yeah.
It's just cringe. Like I'm
fact
gonna
that
read
void
you
even
the map I
exists,
got.
I don't like it.
I'm gonna read you the map I got. Fall Terminus Est. Players cannot evade. Feared. Cannot use movement skills. Players are sent to the void. That's great. Great, dude.
But outside of the void thing, isn't that like what everyone wants? Like these extreme Uber challenges that they can put their characters against.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah. For
yeah.
Terminus Est.
Outside of the void thing.
Let me go for that, dude. I'm honestly like cringing every time I see people going for this this void thing on the shit uniques to just
It reminds me of, so you have like the Reliquary Keys was a supporter pack idea, right? So it's people giving money to support the game. This was introduced into the game. You find one, it's like a little present, If you want to sell it, you can. But if you want, you could open it. Then you get to enjoy your little present. You're probably going to lose money on, but everyone can enjoy that. These puzzle boxes, 99.9% of people who get them, if they open them, they can't run the thing they've now gotten. Because they're probably not up to snuff, whatever, because they're all quite aggressive, right? So it just feels like this is like a weird thing where you're going to get it, and then the odds you're going to sell it before opening it probably are a lot higher in a trade setting. But if you do open it, the odds that you're going to get something you can run is even smaller. It feels like a misallocation of like taxpayer funds that these were made. Because it's like this was supporter money that was supposed to go towards supporting the game's design. And this feels like the opposite of the game's design.
They picked the thing. If you bought the thing, you picked the man.
Yeah, but you picked the thing amongst. I saw the list. Like someone showed me at stream today what the options are. The options are shit. It's like making a private league. I get 10 negative things I could put on it. There's like no positive, nothing really fun I could do.
If I get access to it, like if I manage to buy it, I'm going to build the easiest map they let me build and just put a Mage Blood on it.
But the problem is that'll never be seen then.
That's fine. You know what's what's worse? 6 maps you could never run in the world that are worth nothing to you that you've got, or one map you might be able to get that would be rewarding if it happens, but it probably won't. I'd rather take the gamble.
I don't think it's that black and white. I think we could have had something good, enjoyable, and challenging for some, but we got none of that instead. Like, I think
it's only the void that bothers me, to be honest. Like, you could make disgustingly hard maps, but don't give me the void thing on it. I'm good. I'm
honestly,
let's go.
For me, the worst part is like that people just seen the void thing and is like, I'm gonna ruin this guy's day. He gets this item and it's like, fuck you, guy. That's what's gonna happen. So, nah, I'm not a fan of it at all. So, but also I think that's mostly as we are talking about the void and like difficulty of the thing is like people just jumped on the bandwagon of making the most difficult, most cringe-worthy map at the start, and then it's gonna equalize over time when people, experience how bad it feels getting, like a puzzle box, getting, Tinker and a filter, and it just you get nothing, right?
Yeah, surely, dude, because that's exactly what happened with the Voidbone Reliquary when people realized how bad it feels when you don't get a Mage Blood when you see a heavy build. People totally didn't add more heavy builds to troll people.
Yeah. if the option's that bad and people are picking it, why are they giving people the option? That's what I mean. That's part of it. Also, it's like we're going to give you this button you could push that's going to fuck with everyone's day. People are going to push the button. I mean, just don't give them the button. Like, it shouldn't have even been an option there.
And to be fair, outside of the void thing, I think there's some interesting stuff. And I mean, these are completely optional, so I think it's cool that there's something like this in the game. And I see the foiled uniques as like a, nice flavor special on top for the most part. I mean, if it's not a Mage Blood or a Headhunter, no one's gonna care. But like, I got one here, for example, which is a Val pyramid map with a foiled baited breath, where monsters inflict petrification. They can only be damaged if within 2 meters of radius. Area becomes fatal after some time. Travel skills are disabled. Players gain instability. Unstable players eventually detonate. And only one portal. One portal, I think, is really cool.
That's the worst take I've ever heard. One portal's really cool.
No,
yeah, we've always wanted that. We've always wanted one portal challenges.
Who's we? I've never wanted one portal. Every time I walked into trial,
wait, don't do them.
And then I just I loved having one portal to that.
No, see, one portal's cool. All of those mods are cool. The only thing that's not cool for me is void. Because if you put the word void on the map, I'm never running it, and that feels bad. I don't like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I say that if I was in a trade league, I'd just build an immune character and run every single one of them. But that kind of defeats the fun purpose of it anyway, right?
Well,
if you know you're going to be immortal.
For me, the biggest problem is just the precedent of, every single year we're going to get, this kind of gimmick, and GG will introduce something, right? That's first reliquary keys, then this, and then what's next, right? Like, I am really not happy with like just the precedent of you can buy this to influence the game we all are playing. It might be fun, it might be great, but like I would prefer that to not happen all the time. That we just have people pay money to either ruin people's day or make people's day or like influence the economy of the game. That's my biggest problem with those kind of puzzle boxes, keys and stuff. I don't know how to feel about them.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I just feel like it's such a huge game. It's kind of cool when players get to leave their mark in some aspects. And I mean, if it's completely optional, then I guess that's fair. But yeah, I've never really thought about it like that. And honestly, you guys make me really like unhappy about those boxes. And I was so happy when we got these boxes. I was like, wow, this is one of the coolest things we got all patch.
I don't think it is.
Your cynicism is
like,
infective.
I'm not that upset about it.
Contagious.
Maybe I'm like appearing like really negative, but I'm not that upset either. It just I just don't like the precedent we are setting, that we always gonna have this like every year something like this, and they're gonna one up and what's next? Delete our account. If you fail this map, you lose all your MTX.
Auto install
that's the
Diablo
one.
4.
Oh, yep, that's the one. Oh no.
Yeah, I don't. They could be cool. Again, it's just like the things they pick to me are like, it's like if you made people say pick a unique map, and 90% of them just made like Waka Wairus. Like that's what it feels like. Like there's just like so much cool shit you could do with the concept of a build your own unique map from a supporter's perspective, but everyone just keeps picking the same worst shit. Again, this is like the pool we have now, so we can only react to what we have now. So in the
so Leidy, you're a GGG dev now, right? For one day, you're a GGG dev, and you get to implement new mods for Valdos to pick.
Selling the company to China instantly. The first thing I do.
You're a developer, not the owner.
Liquidate. I own it now. All right. So what was the question? Sorry.
If you could like implement mods for those Valdos puzzle boxes, so not as if you purchase the supporter status and you get to make a map, but if you're from a dev perspective, like what kind of mods would you find interesting?
That's a great question. So like you can influence like to the point of, and this is all things they could do because these are all game assets. Like have them, and this is gonna sound crazy but this is supposed to be crazy. So like imagine the map was nothing but barrels. Every time you broke a barrel, like a volatile popped out. Or imagine there's one devourer with 20 ghosts. Like these are the things you could have. You could have some crazy ideas. You could have insane ideas. You can have a map that it has endless rooms and it keeps going up by one eye level till you die. Like there's things you could do. You could do so much stuff, but they always pick there's this drop down list of like 10 options. That's the complaint I have is there's 10 negative mods. Which ones do you want to add to make your map shit?
Yeah, but like I was more. My question was more within that framework, because obviously it would be cool if everyone would get to make like their own unique map.
It's like you're saying within these shit options we're given, which are the shit maps I'd like to make.
How are you going to make
better options? What do you mean?
Well, it has to be like a mass product. They have hundreds, if not thousands, of people buying these packs.
It doesn't have to be a mass product. They literally done this in the past for divination cards and unique process. If they really cared about introducing the maps into the game and making them interesting and unique in this sense of the term, they could literally have either up the price, limit the amount. They could introduce them slowly. They could do them all one at a time. It's a supporter pack. So it's just supporting the game. This to me is not supporting the game. This is adding nothing to the game. If you're going to add something crazy,
adding annoyance and bullshit to the game. That's exactly how I feel about it as well.
Optional annoyance and bullshit.
I mean, this all feels a lot stronger than I feel about it. Like, I don't like that there's a void thing, but otherwise, whatever. I'm not really phased by most of it. I kind of like that we get to add things to the game.
Because I think I don't take that for granted, right? Like, and they do need to make something at a price range that's feasible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm honestly more upset that I still have to run lab on every character I level than the fact that these maps exist. Because I don't want to run lab. I'm more upset about that than I am about this.
The same thing with the Wildwood Ascendancy. They didn't learn that lesson either. So every reroll we have to do all the Wildwood quests again.
Yeah, like I'm more upset about that. Like these maps are not that big of a deal. I think they're cool. I just wish the void option wasn't there. That's really my only problem with it. I just hate void.
There's plenty of maps without the void option on them.
Yeah, they're not as many as you'd think. People fucking love ticking that box.
I mean, it do be kind of cool to see the softcore trade ladder guys dying and losing their characters. I've always historically, and people who listen to this podcast over a long period of time will find this a reoccurring theme in what I say is like I always love when there's some hardcore entering softcore and some softcore entering hardcore, right? I love the leagues that allow you to fail in hardcore without losing your character, and I love the leagues that allow you to fail in softcore and lose something significant. So that's why I guess I'm a fan of the void option. But you're right, probably people are overdoing it with that for the meme value. But
they were always gonna though.
So just for like historical context, we've had things like this happen before in the form of unique maps. And we've had it so you've had to do things like Hall of the Grandmaster for your unique completion when going through the game. So it isn't that far of a stretch to be next league having Valdo's box be on like the Atlas. Like there's things like this could happen. I'm not saying it's gonna happen or it's the right direction, but like we've had shit design 4 maps when it comes to like that sort of stuff before. This to me feels like we're just one step away from going back to that in a way.
Yeah, that's what I'm really scared about. That's why I'm like brought this topic up, because like I'm scared that so someone gonna have stupid idea, and some guy's gonna be like, oh, this is shit. Let's pay give GG money, so we'll make our day shit. So that's I'm hoping it's not gonna be the case, which I think it won't be, but the negative Andy.
And I don't think this is like, if you're comparing this issue to other existing issues, very low priority, because we're thinking of like, this is like a directional conversation as far as like, what is going to happen, whatever. But really, it's kind of all a moot point until Path 2 comes out anyway. So when it comes to like, we're saying what's next year's supporter pack going to be? Next year, the game could be basically, just put on the burner until when Path 2 is going to be launching. So like, I'm not too worried about that. I would much rather see us not have to do lab 90 times a league, or not have to do our Wildwood ascendancies 90 times a league for each character. Like the joy of running new characters and making new transgen builds is definitely slightly hindered by the fact that I have to redo lab and Wildwood ascendancies each time. Like, to me, that's a more of a now concern than like the Valdo.
I found something that made the Wildwood ascendancy way better. I don't know if this
the desecrate thing.
Trouble from, but yeah, the desecrate thing. That's
that only helps with the charm one though.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, to be fair, is the really only choice. But
yeah, you're either a Pathfinder or you're taking charms.
Yeah, I'm playing abilities with tinctures right now, and by the way, so shit compared to charms, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, like, and it's like having to redo the quest. I'm just like spending 2 hours in Desecrate Chamber trying to find like these tree guys. So that tells me I have to return winter or something when the quest says you have to kill these trees to make winter happen. I don't even know what that lore means. Like, what are they even talking about? But like, I have to do it as character because otherwise I can't use my things. It's just like such a detraction from my like experience,
Well, fair enough, but that's a perfect segue to move away from the things that so
don't
much
matter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
maybe. Well, how do you like the Wildwood exploration in general, outside of not being able to find the NPC that you want for your Wildwood ascendancy?
I like it a lot better than Toda as far as the gameplay loop of just enjoying the mechanic. I don't have to make a specific character to enjoy Wildwood. I can just pop it and kind of wander around.
Yeah.
That I really like. I think it's like way better, especially while you're leveling. I don't say you shouldn't, but doing league mechanics for leveling is like kind of a waste of time. But when you're doing Wildwood, it's like you're going to get tons of experience. You could get drops. It felt like it was worthwhile from a casual perspective. So I think like they've nailed most everything. There's not a whole lot, like I said. Like my only complaints about the Wildwood would like, blue wisp visibility. I think everyone probably has that same complaint, or like, I wish the vendors would maybe spawn at the beginning, or like you'd be able to see them on the mini map or so, like that sort of stuff. But overall, no, I've got no complaints. That's just feels good. Kill stuff, get juice. Can't complain like about that.
All right. Off the top, what is your initial verdict for the league mechanic, Leggy? How often do you engage with it? Well, before we go in deep.
Yeah, I would say from like just at the face value, when you just engage with league mechanic, I think it looks amazing. Like visually, first of all, that's what struck me. Like it's very, very well done visually, and like the feel of it is very very well made, which is quite important for me, because Toda had the same thing, right? It was very nice visually, but the gameplay loop was really bad, and that's complete 180 compared to the Wildwood we have, right? So I'm really happy with what they done. And obviously, like with all those like baseline things comes the meta stuff, right? Which they also kind of nailed. So I think it's one of the all-time great leagues in the making, in my opinion, for now.
When you say the meta stuff, you mean like everything that they added outside of the league mechanic itself in this patch, right? Like the
what I mean by
transfigured
that
skill
is like,
and
no, what I mean by that is like how the wisps and stuff affects how we play the game, and like how we get items, right? So like how people MF with it, how people, map with it and stuff like that. That's what I mean by meta, right? Meta game rather. So I think it's like how the league mechanic affects the game and how we, change our play style while doing the league mechanic, right? So I think it's honestly sick. I love it.
Agreed. The one thing I just want to add to that, because I think it's really important, and I think they nailed it, is the increase in difficulty while mapping attributed to you giving wisps to rares and stuff like that. If you juice the fuck out of your map, it can be very difficult, but extremely rewarding. So that to me feels like they absolutely nailed it, to the point where if you're doing a tier 1 map with no MF gear on, nothing, and you're doing like Juiced Exiles or Legion or something like that, you pop on, a polished Reliquary Scarab, you could drop 1,000 uniques in a tier 1 map. Like you could drop multiple divines. Like that's crazy to me. And that feels so rewarding. It feels like you're not wasting your time doing it. So, especially from Solo Self-Found, extremely healthy feeling. And it's like, you have the option of, oh, I'm playing a build that I have some sort of crit reduction and I want more currency. I can focus on the blue things. Or, oh, I want to do some more magic finding. I can focus on the purple. Oh, I'm trying to gather more splinters, focus on the yellow. Like it's designed to really properly and perfectly almost scale up difficulty to reward. So that's been like super, super refreshing, because honestly, typically they don't nail that. And it feels great because they did nail it this time, where it's like the high scope, high execution, actually, like it actually hit.
Yeah, last time I had that feeling of the league, how it like affects the game itself was literally Delirium, right? Like Delirium and how it affected the mapping. And now it's like Delirium, but with agency, right? And the thing is with agency also, like how all the colors of Wisp interact with each other. So like quantity, rarity, and like currency and conversions. Like you can have really, really, big difference in skill, like how you interact with, with this map or this map. And there's obviously some RNG in it, but like you can make, great things happen if you know what you're doing, which is what I love with PoE, right? Like that's what drew me to PoE always, right? And
loving it.
That's why I love this, right?
So, what's your general, just so that we're all on the same page there, what's your general approach to the league mechanic? Do you just go into it right at the beginning of the map and then buff the entire map? And do you try to find the king in the mists, which we have differing information on, like what's the best strat to find that guy? But like, do you follow one specific color of wisps, or like, walk me through your average encounter?
Exactly, that's the thing. You can do so many things with it. That's the beauty of it, in my opinion, because like you can focus, as you said, on looking for king the mist. So you just enter the map, look for the king, leave, do it again over and over again. So you just look for the king, or you want to focus on like a mapping strategy, like looking to get a lot of uniques, a lot of loot. So then you interact with this color, or like combine the colors, or looking for uniques. Then you do focus on the purple wisp because they give the rarity, and that's it really depends what you approach, how you approach it, and what you want to do with it, right? So I like it because of that. Yeah, that's what I'm calling the real agency, because we didn't have that since, I don't know since when, really. Like actually,
it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
I guess Sanctum to some degree. Although,
yeah, Sanctum, I guess, but
Sanctum
really.
had different, like a number of different correct ways to play it, right? Like a number of different solutions that managed, or like that allowed you to beat the Sanctum.
Sanctum kind of felt one note, though. To me, it felt really one note, and it felt like the best route, if I was in a trade league setting, would be just chase money, then buy what I want. But that doesn't feel like what Affliction is, where I don't have to chase money and buy what I want, where I could find what I want if I wanted to go that route. Like, I couldn't do that in Sanctum, really, because Sanctum wasn't juicing the map itself. It would just be like, get to the end, do the Sanctum, got 6 divines, ball out, But now it's like, oh, I could find my own divines using the blue wisps, Or I could be like, oh, I don't want to buy a Rallycash. I'm going to farm out my own Rallycash boots in tier 1 maps. And I could do that too, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would
that's
say,
fair.
like, honestly, it's like since Harvest League. Like, it's been years. Like, Harvest League had the same feel. So,
It's
I would say, yeah, it's been a while.
I'm like ever so slightly sad that this league is the league I decided to do the private league stuff. Just because there's like a lot of juice I could be using in trade, but it's also really
Yeah,
fun
and-
to be in a private league. So
If the league gets extended, then you can have your cake and eat it and migrate out of your private league and still become rich, right?
If or when.
Well,
They're always
both if
extended
or when,
now.
but
there's
even if it
almost
doesn't
no
get
one's
extended,
left.
I
It's been
mean,
great.
I'm sure in a month from now there'll be plenty of reason to switch out, or maybe
quit the
not.
private
Maybe
league.
you're.
Yeah, just quit
What's
the
with
private
the
league.
private league?
Nah,
Just quit the private league.
Fuck 'em.
nah, too good.
You can only change one way. You can't go back into the. I mean, I guess technically you could, but
You can go both ways. It's 2023.
fair enough. Very open-minded lady.
Mhm.
That's how we know you here. How do you approach your average affliction? Seeing that there's different ways to do it, like how are you actually doing it? Like if you were playing instead of podcasting right now on your character, what would you do? You go into the affliction.
Well, I have my Atlas set up for like Ghosted Exiles and Delirium, so I've just been like literally sitting in tier 1 Glacier and just pooping out uniques left and right. I think I've hit like every single tier 1 and below unique this league already. So it's been good.
Nice.
Purple, no purples, I pick yellow. That's it.
There any specific uniques you're looking for?
Rakiatas, that's the main one. Thing's rare as fuck.
It's unfortunately it's at T0, by the way.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, it's
Yep.
unfortunate
Rare.
thing that they did. I was really excited when they introduced Rakiata to the game, but like knowing that
I'm
it's
on my,
a tier 0 unique,
my
absolutely
fourth
sucks,
badge
man.
of the Brotherhood, but I can't get a Rakiatas. Yeah, it's
Oh my
cool.
God.
I want to use that big old sword and do blade trap, which is like the worst shit is used for it probably, but it seems really fun. But yeah, I couldn't get it in Tota. I tried. It was like no matter what, every time in Tota, Rakiata would just fall off the first round. She's the worst. She's the worst ancestor. I'd love to get it.
Yeah. I believe one of my guildmates is using this on a Chains of Command build right now.
Sure. Yeah, you could use it on a Chains of Command with the new Animate Guardian,
Mm-hmm.
the smiting one. That's what I would
Smiting
do,
one,
something
yeah.
like that. I mean, I wouldn't do that because I would lose it then when it inevitably dies to unknown, detonate dead or something. But
I wouldn't be too
Yeah.
worried about that. I can make an Animate Guardian immortal for sure.
you say that,
Specters I'll lose. Animate Guardians I don't lose.
Path finds a way.
Right. Yeah, so I've been trying to find the King of in the Mist again. I mean, I did get it from one of the guildmates. The obviously benefit of being in softcore trade or in general in a non-SSF environment is that you can trade for these NPCs and also for the boss encounters. But outside of trading for the King in the Mists, like just trying to find him myself, I just can't find him. I found him a couple of times outside, but not the stronghold, right? And then some people tell me they find 3 and 5 maps, and I just don't know. Am I doing it wrong? Because that's really
Probably.
the worst thing. Like I never know whether it's like, did this instance just not have one, or did I miss it? That's what in the beginning I also never knew with the NPCs. I was like, oh, I'm looking for this NPC, but can I even find it here? Does every Wildwood have all 3 NPCs? And it's just a matter of which direction you run?
No,
I
I
don't
think it's
think
kind of
so.
random, honestly. I think it's kind of random. So, I would say if you wanna like find NPCs or King in the Mist, you usually just check the corners of the map. Like you can look at the map as a square or like a rectangle and just go to the like corner directions or maybe not even follow the Wisp, like just
The never
the
sing
corner.
strat.
yeah, pretty much. I think that's a very good thing to do in most cases to like oh, there is this event here, like I don't want that, so we move back to the start and then move to the other direction. So I think what Neversink on Twitter was mostly correct, I guess. But,
yeah, I mean, we have to guess. We can't know for sure. But no, I was under the impression when you want to find the NPCs, you just follow the specific wisps and you'll eventually get
pretty
them,
much.
right?
Pretty
But
much, but
the
it's-
King and
it's
the
still-
Mist is without wisps, right? Like,
Yeah, I think so. I think that's actually the case. But same, like I don't know exactly. Like you gonna run around and hope that you find it. Like
you see, that's, I'm just trying to distill I try to ask as many people as possible because there's so much contradicting information out there. I mean, most people say he's the King in the Mist. He obviously doesn't have any wisps, and based on my experience, he doesn't. And then I've seen people say, well, whenever I find the King of the Mist, he has purple wisps nearby. I was like, okay. It's like, how am I
You
supposed
found
to find the truth?
the fake one has the purple.
yeah.
The
fake
real one doesn't have the
Okay.
purple.
Oh, the fake one. You mean the
The-
outside, the
one that
non-stronghold?
isn't in the stronghold that drops the vessel. That one has the purple around him. But
Okay.
if you see wisps, you've gone the wrong way.
Okay.
Yeah, turn around. So just do the little X thing, like you're saying. If there's an event,
Yeah,
opposite
I've done that a
direction,
bunch, but like when you do the X thing, then you don't do the efficient thing, which is following the wisps and collecting a bunch of juice. And so I always
only
feel
efficient because of your sample size. If you did the X thing and then the next 2 times you do it, you get King of the Mist, you get 2 jewel drops that are 90 divines. This has now become the efficient thing to do.
yeah, no, I
So
get that. I
it's-
get that.
so it's-
Efficient from a map juicing point of view, obviously. But yeah,
mean-
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know, like map choosing it's very relative. Like, do you want to choose your map? Like, if you want to look for the king, like not really. Like, unless you are like putting a lot of
Yeah.
investment in your map, like the wisp kind of don't matter much. Honestly, it really depends. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, if you say it like that. No, I just like usually, alch my maps and rush to the map boss and like clear a little bit left and right and all that. But I do try to buff. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't really matter that much if you don't like super invest.
Yeah, it's like put in your map exactly. Like
Like the thing
it
is, I
really-
probably
really
just
is
want too
relative,
many
yeah.
things at once. Like I want to have a chance of finding the King in the Mists, and I also want to come out of the Wildwoods with a couple thousand of wisps, and then you just decide for
Yeah.
one, I guess, instead of trying to
yeah,
have it all.
exactly true.
I don't
Oh,
even
greedy, yeah.
actually look for anything downstairs at all.
Hmm.
I just consistently sprint out in one direction around 2 screens and then just do a giant loop around the place. And
Okay.
almost every single time I go down there, I find some cool event or like 1,000 harvest juice or
Oh, I love those
a
harvests.
beyond boss that gives me like some currency or whatever, like some of the tainted currency or like one of the things. Like I find something almost every time because I'm not looking for a specific thing. Doesn't matter because it feels great every single time I go down. I always leave with several thousand juice and I always find some sort of event. So I don't know. It feels great. It would probably feel pretty bad if I was hard stuck on, find this boss or find this thing. But
Hmm.
since I don't get stuck on those things because we can just grab them from other people, it's not been a problem.
Yep.
Yeah,
the
you're right.
the Wildwood. I just made a new build yesterday. I've been playing Flicker Strike, and the Wildwood is fucking nuts. If you're Flicker striking, because you just get sent into the darkness with Flicker, and it like eats through your wisp count, your time
Oops.
limit, because you just go, So that's been a different experience for.
Are there enemies in the darkness?
Well, yeah, it's no longer darkness when you get there, but
Yeah.
I'm saying
I was just wondering, like, are there targetable enemies in when the darkness is darkness?
Yeah.
But not after the encounter ended, right? Then the monsters despawn.
If they're on
kinda.
the edge, you could go a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because
sometimes
I've
there's
seen some
pockets of
strong
light.
boxes in the darkness, and I was like, I try, but there was no monsters
Yep.
next to them.
Yeah, you can get sent still. I mean, you don't die; you just get kicked out. Which honestly, that's another very, very great thing that they've done is if you're gathering wisps in the Wildwood and you die, you don't just lose everything. It sends the wisps you've gathered into the map, which is a very they could have fucked that up, but they didn't, which is amazing because like it felt like if you're doing heist and then you got caught, you got to keep your stuff. Like it's like I've worked for this, I get to keep this instead of dropping it on the floor.
Collect any more.
Yeah,
well, that's the punishment. You leave early,
Correct.
You can't collect any more.
Correct. To me, that's a very subtle, good step in the right direction because it's like that feels good. Feels good that they thought about that, or they just guessed. I don't know. Whatever.
It's interesting that you brought that up because I was earlier going to ask when it felt like a fitting point. What do you guys think about there no opting out, like no end mechanic button? I mean, you can die or you can log out, but then you still buff your map, right? Like there probably should have been a like, oh shit, I didn't want to walk in here. Let me end it and cancel and forfeit.
You just go to character screen. It's just I wish I didn't have to go to character screen because I've misclicked when leveling characters and like it right before like a. It's like if I'm leveling and I'm right before an act boss, I don't want to go into the Wildwood because I don't want to spend 10 minutes fighting Katafa. So in that scenario, I just have to go to character screen. I wish there was like a Delirium style end button that just spawned a portal. They could add one. They probably should have. They didn't. Who knows?
I mean, it would be nice, but the thing is, like, you can kind of circumvent that. Like, if you don't run to the like usual like the coordinate direction where the events are, you can just run like to the top or to the bottom, like through the mist that usually not gonna happen, and you just don't have to collect wisps, which honestly takes like 5 to 10 seconds, and you can just get out really quickly and don't mess yourself up. So I think it's fine.
An exit button, but
I don't think it's a big deal. But I second that. Would be nice, but well, oh well.
It was just a little thought when you said that it's good that you actually get to keep the juice if you fail.
Yeah, I was looking at my complaint list I made before this because I didn't have much to really complain about. This patch to me honestly is like pretty flawless. But
it's so good.
That's a rare occurrence, by the way, guys.
Yeah. Well, I'm very quick to shit on things that are wrong, but I'm just as quick to say this has been amazing if it's right, and this has been amazing. So I'm not gonna credit where it's due.
I have one thing that I would love to complain, which is
I have 3 more things, but you go. I want to hear your complaints.
The King of the Mist himself. I absolutely despise this fight.
Yeah,
it's so bad. It's
really
so insanely bad.
I don't understand enough of it to be able to criticize it on a rational level.
First of all, it's gray on like dark purple on gray. And then in the middle of it, you get the maze that's very convoluted and like buggy, and then there's like kind of very samey debuffs that he applies to you that looks exactly the same, and like when you have to, because like there are 2 different debuffs that he applies. So there's this debuff says you have to move, and there's this debuff that you have to stand still, right? And they look exactly the same almost. Like it's like purpley.
I thought one was purple and one was red, but
they look they look
like
literally
breach purple red. They're kind of 2 sides of the same coin.
and it's just terrible. In my opinion, the fight is just bad. It's like
I'm not disagreeing with you. Like I said, I just don't know enough about the fight. Is like a testimony of like how unintuitive the fight is and how hard it is to figure it out. Because I did fight it. Like I didn't find it by myself when I needed it for the quest, but I had found him prior to that and died to him. And I died to the debuff that said you shouldn't move, and I couldn't read it because I was busy paying attention to the fight.
Yeah,
and like it was only pointed out to me later.
Yeah, you get like 2 seconds to like hover over the debuff and you die because like there's no time, first of all, and then like literally just before the podcast I done the king. Like I've done it multiple times, like killed it like 20 times, but I still failed the maze because the wisp didn't point me in the right direction. Because
I mean, it seems like a really easy thing they could. This reminds me of when like Cirrus came out, and there wasn't always voice lines and output text to chat for his abilities. And
I remember that.
So it's kind of like, he used to not say die, or if he did, it wouldn't output the chat, or if he was too far away, which was like most of the time, it just wouldn't hear it. And it's just, you're just dead, So like imagine the die beam in Uber Cirrus, but there's no output to text and no audio. Like, yeah, you're going to die to that like half the time if you're not, So this is a boss where if they just added the output voice line, make sure it goes off, like it could rectify that. But will they? I don't. It's a great question.
Yeah.
For me, just very visually confusing boss. Visually confusing, like very convoluted, very unintuitive, and it's not fun. Like that's my main complaint for me. It's just
I
not
don't
fun.
disagree with any of those points, but I will still highlight that in the beginning you said that the League is amazing visually, and it is if you're not talking from a visual clarity point and you just like judge the boss design on a like coolness factor thematically, it's really amazing. The portal is so cool with the like things flying and the purple light. It looks so PoE too.
It's like some weird lore also with like the fact that rituals we're doing in the overworld were like offering up to him. Like he's the guy who's been getting all our ritual juice we've been making basically up top, and he's all like high on ritual juice downstairs. That's kind of like fun that's the thing.
The funny thing about that fight is that I actually thought all of it was pretty clear, except for the fact that I had to mouse over the two different debuffs to figure out which one made me move and which one wants me to stay. But this might be just me. Maybe I'm just blind as a bat. I can't get through the fucking maze.
The maze is super easy once you got it.
See the wisps.
Really? Like there's these bright balls, and that's my problem. Why I failed the maze is I walked up to the first ball, and then it goes into the direction that you have to go, but mine went just straight up, or at least that's how I saw it in my head, and I just thought it was the despawn animation of the ball that it like lifted up, because I thought not that it was prospectively going away from me, but just like elevating itself, like levitating away and like fading out. And it took me so long until I realized, they actually move into the direction that you're supposed to go.
I mean, they kind of do, but the thing is, like, sometimes they fizzle out like too early, and then you have to like look for another wisp, and then that wisp will guide you to the other side, and like it might not always point you to the right direction. Just don't design maze, GGG, please. No mazes anymore.
I think if you're gonna design a boss like this, you just don't make it one portal. I think that also that solves the problem.
Yeah, that's.
I'm like perpetually frustrated ever since really Delve League, because from my perspective, Delve boss design is like so perfect, where it's like you've put the effort to reach the boss, and now you get to expend resources to attempt to fight the boss. You could learn on the boss, you could practice mechanics. You have to keep paying for soul fight, but at least you have it secured. But like doing these things where if you're not playing that often, you find King of the Mist, and then like Catmaster, your Wisp gets raptured north, then you just are dead and you like lost it and you don't know why. Kind of, that's like a very sour taste that feels kind of bad.
Well, at
I'm
least
not really
he's
super worried about that.
Allegedly,
I don't know. It just doesn't. Like I'm not really worried about any of that. Like maybe it'd be better to have a few attempts at it, but I don't know. Boss fight seems cool, man. I'm just really happy with everything. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. The boss fight. See, with a boss fight like this one, I mean, obviously I was just joking with like at least it's accessible, because I can't find it, but people can reliably more or less find it in a bunch of maps. So it's fine for this boss, I feel, in this league. In comparison to something like Cirrus on release, because Cirrus required so much grind, and then you went in there and then you didn't understand something and died, and then it took you so long to get back to there. Okay, Cirrus had multiple portals and all, but that was at least my experience playing hardcore at the time, was like it took me so long to get there. There were so many mistakes that I could have made and no way to learn from my mistakes, because when I made one, it would take me like a week to get back to the fight. And yeah, then the Delve bosses are much preferable. But from a hardcore point of view, like I don't think that the King in the Mists is super okay. I mean, it just needs to communicate better that you can't move somehow. But yeah,
The thing is,
don't want to
if
dwell on
you're
that.
playing hardcore, like this fight does kind of nothing to you. Like I'm mostly complaining probably because I'm playing a very softcore style squishy Deadeye. If you're playing a hardcore character, like you can stand still and nothing happens. The fight is relatively easy, I would say.
Oh, you mean like by the time that you take it on, you're so
Like
geared and
no,
leveled.
it's just the fight itself is just easy. It's
Okay.
kind of low tuned, right? So it's like if you get there, you probably will survive it, especially in like if you're playing a real hardcore character, right? So
Yeah.
I wouldn't have that concern, but yeah, it's mostly what Lighty mentioned is like once you reach him and then you fail towards something, like when you just want to learn and you fail and then you have to wait another X time with your one attempt, it just doesn't feel very, very good.
I still think it feels better than that amalgam of fear thing, because that fucker one-shot me off the map and I had no idea what even killed me. That guy
Oh, the one
walking
with
around
all the
Wildwood.
degen stuff?
I didn't even get it. I saw the debuff went on the screen, and it was within a half a second I was gone. And I was like, what in tarnation even killed me?
So I don't know how this happened, but there's a challenge for killing him without ever receiving a debuff. Except the challenge doesn't say kill him, it says survive an encounter. So I saw him on the corner of my screen, accidentally hit him with one corner of the trap, and then the portal opened to finish, and I just left before he even reached me. And then it said, challenge complete, survive an encounter with the
There you
dude
go.
without getting some debuff. And I was like, oh, survive an encounter doesn't mean kill. If you just engage him and then leave, you win.
I have literally never seen him since. I saw him one time on like multiple characters in the 90s. I've seen him one time. I have no idea what he does. I have no idea what his deal is. He blinked me out of existence, then fucked off, and that's literally been it. I don't know what damage type it was, because the character I was playing on just had capped chaos res, so I literally have no idea. It's unknown. It reminds me of like the Crimson Township boss when you're like new to the game. And you just like walk in, and then the guy starts chanting, and then you're just dead. And I'm like, all right, cool. I don't know what happened. Yeah, there's something I found. So my very small list of complaints. I discovered a new one on stream today, which was if you have a map that has burning ground, the burning ground can spawn underneath a vendor. So when you're accessing the vendor, you're dying.
That's a feature. That's always been the case.
And it took me a second to realize when I was like, I'm going to event. I look over and I'm like almost dead because the map was minus max. Also, I was like, "What in tarnation?"
That's unfortunate.
I had to quickly like check it, then walk away, regen back. I was checking individual charms as I was popping in and out. That and like the fact that you can just be attacked by the vendor is like for a mechanic where if you have capped chaos res, this isn't a problem. But if you don't have capped chaos res, the chaos archers very lethal, very very lethal. Very, very far, long range, and they could kind of be on the edge of a vendor and then just cover you in purple flowers. Like the fact that you could have that happen while in the middle of using a vendor, kind of a bummer. Especially because like we have pause technology, ultimatums back in the game. We know we have it. Like, why wouldn't the vendors be kind of a safe space? Is a little bit weird. Yeah. But
yeah, you could so liberally apply that critique to the entire game, though.
Well, I wouldn't apply that critique to a 10-year-old mechanic, but one that comes out 6 months before Path 2's beta starts, I would imagine is probably an end product. So I think that mechanics that on this we should be doing better each league, not worse, as far as like these sort of things. Like this feels like, imagine if you were in the rogue, like in Heist, and trying to talk to the vendors, but then like a shield charge guy comes off screen and kills you. Like that'd feel terrible. Like it doesn't feel like that's really in my control so much, you know?
No, that's I agree. When the
it's very surprising to me though.
That they did it.
Master. No, the thing is like they had a technology that let's say when June spawns in your map, like Alva, like she clears the area around her. So like I'm really surprised that they didn't apply this to the vendors, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, just like a little, might get patched out. Who knows?
I hope so.
The only other thing that I have no more complaints at this point. There's like everything else has been so good. The one thing I felt that feels a little bad though, and we were mentioning earlier, is like playing different builds. I do always feel like charms kind of always feel like the right choice, unless there's like a tincture that's literally build enabling. But the thing I miss the most is my ass pocket. Not having my ass pocket on non-charm characters. Those extra slots are like, you get real used to them real fast. And I do think after this long, we've had so many additions to the game, so much more loot is dropping. We probably are due for an inventory upgrade. Looking back, because like the amount of stuff we got before, just that were introduced into the map, things that we would be picking up from the old times versus the current times, it does feel like there's like more
so
things.
Much better to have that much inventory space.
Yeah.
I
don't think it's like busted because we're not, it's just convenient. Like that just should be like, to me, makes sense. But
yeah,
for me,
it's really hard to take that away.
I'm just putting like my corrupted essences, wisdoms, the maps I've already rolled, all of the like stuff that I have to bring with me is just in the prison pocket, and then all the loot goes into my normal inventory, and it's great.
I love how we've just, as a community, also really gathered around the ass pocket being this is a prison wallet. This is the ass pocket. This is where I store my stuff. I put it in my butt. This is exactly what this is. We're all on the same page. There's one word for it.
No, absolutely. Because whenever I brain AFK for a number of minutes on any character that doesn't have that, or like any time before this league, I would go to my stash and empty my inventory, and then I'm in the next map, and I finish the map, and like, oh shit, I wanted to portal scrolls. Or like an essence, and you don't have the things, right? Because you always, I don't know, my brain always empties the inventory between maps when I don't pay attention. And having this extra backpack thing where I can put all the things that I don't ever want to take out, awesome. And I mean, to be fair, people are always saying when they're adding temporary stuff in the leagues that they're testing stuff for long-term implementation, they're testing stuff for period 2.
I would say that. Yeah.
And maybe they're just testing what we're doing if we have 20 extra slots with our inventory, and maybe they decide, oh, it's not that bad. It actually doesn't break the game. We can give people inventory
Definitely
space.
does not break the game. It just makes it so you have a little allocated spot for if you just want to loot more or you want to put like your supplies. It just feels good. I don't know anyone who doesn't like this. Like it's like a universal thing that just feels good.
It's the reason I don't want to try out the other ascendancies either.
You're not missing anything, honestly. Like
no.
To be honest, no. I'm actually running my main character right now with a tincture, and it's very good.
No,
so
he's delirious.
I think it can be very good. So
what kind of tincture are you using?
At the moment, I'm kind of using it for like buffing my flasks. So like I'm using a phasing tincture that like kind of does nothing because I don't have the good one yet that I would like to have.
The headhunter one, or which one do you want?
I want the projectile one that's like 10 weighting tincture, so it's really bad. But it's mostly like there's other tinctures as well. Like there's a one that gives rage, and depending on the build, you can also use the poison tincture, just the implicit with like some good stuff like rarity or something. But it's mostly for me that I'm buffing my like Quicksilver and Dying Sun next to it, right? So that's what I'm doing.
Please go ahead. I'll ask later.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the backpack because like it was really funny to me when I first seen it. It was kind of like, oh, this kind of does nothing. It's kind of useless. But after playing with it, it was really impactful. Like early on, like when mapping, like over time, it like probably gave me like 500 fusings over like couple days because you just pick up those 6 sockets, right? Like you just pick them up. It's fine. So you can vendor them.
Many.
Yeah, and I feel like it should be implemented in a main game. Like it needs to be. It needs to be there.
It has a built-in downside if you really want to argue that it's too good. The vendor is still the same size inventory. So if you want to vendor your full shit, you have to do two vendor trips. Because you have your inventory, then you have the ass pocket. So
you don't use it for vendor stuff, right? I mean, at least.
Oh, you can.
You can.
Who are you to tell me how I manage my ass pocket? Okay, it's my ass pocket. I'm gonna do whatever I want with it.
Yeah.
And then
you also can't control click out of it into the guild bank. which is funny.
Yes. Yeah.
But you can, if you have no bank open, control click items between your regular inventory and the prison pocket.
Yeah, it's so good. It's actually so good.
Which is
Love it.
fantastic because like you roll a bunch of maps and then you're like, all right, good one. They all go into the pocket, and then you just open the stash and put the rest away that you didn't want. Ta-da.
It was so funny to me. There was like one interview with Chris one day, and it's like Chris was saying, "Oh, the people don't like store like multiple maps in an inventory when they run, and they like go to the stash and stuff." I don't know when it was like a while ago, but like it's like, dude, that's not how people play your game, man.
Listen, he's got Black Lotus brain. All right, he's fine.
It was just funny to me, like when now we have the backpack. It's like, yep, that fixes everything. That
is the thing.
To be fair, we could be wrong. Like you say that, I agree with that. I keep 20 maps in my inventory when mapping, but we could be wrong. This could not be how most people play. I don't know. It's possible that all the casuals out there, they run one map, they make one map, they run. That's
maybe
we could be in the wrong. We could be in the wrong. It's possible. Never doubt the masses.
I think there's plenty of people who don't mass roll their maps. That for sure. But
we don't have to talk to them. We don't have to invite them for dinner, but they might exist. It's fine.
They are wrong.
Yeah.
has anyone tried the Warcry's shake extra items from corpses? See, I mean, you guys in SSF.
Day one, yeah, I had it. I had it on day one. It didn't do shit. I got like
shake
3
any
fusing.
6 sockets.
Maybe, yeah, but like, it really didn't do anything. Like,
Well, it opened chests.
Sure, but like everything's hidden by my filter anyway, so it's like it's not as if I'm getting loot. It's just maybe it got me a couple extra 6 sockets, but I don't think it did lag. It did. That's true. I forgot about that. Looking at chat, it did. The day one at least. Whenever I war cried and it shook corpses, my screen froze for a second, which was kind of funny.
Great.
But no,
Nice.
mostly it was. No,
Yeah,
I quickly swatched the ass pocket, and then relationship with Warcry ended. Ass pocket began. Rest is history.
Yeah, just wanted to interject that one while we're still on the primalist because I was just curious. Honestly, I hadn't seen anyone experimenting with it.
Haven't touched Warlock at all. I don't think I ever will this league. It's very possible, but
I've got some ideas for Warlock. I think might be quite good.
If I get like a Wrathpith, maybe. I think I might have one. Maybe I'll do something, but I don't know. The charms are so strong. Like the charms are like, oh, there's that. Like the power behind them is kind of hard to bypass.
The answer is charms is default.
Yeah.
And you need a reason to run tinctures or warlock. And there are some, but those are the niche reasons, right? There are plenty of niche spots for both warlock and the tincture ascendancy. And there's enough of them around that there are definitely builds for it. But what you need to do is have a reason to run that because the default is charms.
I think even more so, I feel like for the other two, it has like a very strong 4 points. And then the like points 6 and 8 are like real struggles. I'm trying to figure because I'm currently playing a tincture build and I'm 4 points in. I got my tincture stuff. I can get 2 more points for like the juice tincture thing for no flask, but like I'm looking at like what do I even want to put for my last thing? Like marks can't miss. Like I don't even know. Like it just feels like
honestly, I have to say, detect evil, the last point.
Oh, the rare thing or which one?
Yeah, it's better than I expected. Actually, like I was a hater. Listen, I was a hater, but like running from rare to rare, like the marks on the minimap, it feels great, honestly. So,
that also kind of feels like the ass pocket, a thing that we had, so we didn't have any sort of marks for enemies on maps until really long time ago. Torah missions had them back when that was a thing. And then more recently, breach bosses got the symbols, which is huge. Like that's really quality of life.
And in between that, we had Metamorph.
Metamorph also. And then seeing them on the rares and uniques, I really feel like that should kind of be a feature as well, where I don't think it'll be like you could argue what you're describing is probably what they don't want to happen, which is just beelining from rare to rare to rare. But kind of feels a bit comfy. Maybe having it on like passenger or something. Yeah.
Like I want it. It does feel very nice.
Yeah, I really
It's like
enjoyed
very
that build as
low.
well.
I think it's like very low, like
Power.
I would say like power and like abusability. Let's put it that way. So I think it's
Yeah.
okay. It just feels okay. So usually it's not gonna be a big difference. I think if it's there or not.
Yeah.
Give us an option. That said, though, I might be like super biased because I have a headhunter. So take that with a grain of salt.
I mean, I'm using inspired learning, so I'm on the same kind of vibe. I do want to get the headhunter tincture. I have not seen that at all.
I think that shit is that thing just terrible. I don't think it's good.
How dare you? How dare you shit on my dreams?
I
They're my
always do
dreams.
that, Lighty. I always do that, Lighty. You should be
True.
used to that.
I'm covered in poop.
Yeah, no. I wanna get in on that question though. What tinctures do you feel are not up to par? Because in order for the
Most of
tincture
them?
ascendancy to stand up to the charm ascendancy, there needs to be good tinctures. We know there's the all damage can poison. That's definitely worth playing a tincture character. But like, what other ones do you find interesting and you wish were better? I'll go first. I think the 25% increased critical strike chance against enemies on full life is a fucking joke. Because what is that? Like 25% increased of base, but only if the enemy is full life. So only for the very first hit. It's like, why do I need a tincture for that? But like, what? Why would I give up charms and a flask slot for that?
You wouldn't. It's that simple.
Correct.
I mean, honestly, the freeze one kind of feels a bit goofy to me too, because a lot of the status ones are kind of strange, where if you could crit and apply the status anyway with something like cold damage is quite prevalent amongst a lot of crit builds, it feels a bit superfluous. Like I'm using the shock one on Flicker because I don't have exterior sources of like large amounts of lighting, and that's a huge damage buff, so it kind of feels good for that. But yeah, most of them, I don't know, there's a lot of weird ones. I'm not as offended by the implicits as I am about like the actual like prefix suffixes for a lot of them, because the fact that they don't always roll with 2 is kind of a big fuck you. Like
They do that a lot too.
I know,
Like shit like that. This happens a lot over the course
if it's
of time. where, like,
unmodifiable, it should just have 2 mods. Like even if there's
Like-
shit mods, it should have something.
it's happened before where we have unmodifiable things that can be rare, but they're sometimes magic, and you're just like, well, why? I can't modify them. They should all drop rare. These are all magic, which is fine. You want them to only have 2 affixes. That's what we're balanced around. That's fine. Have 2 always. Like I can't change them, so it's still probably mostly bad. Just have 2 always.
It won't even make the difference. What it really does is it makes me feel like it makes the version I have especially inadequate feeling. It's like Path is a game that has large amounts of like FOMO when it comes to like how your builds are made and like experiences. And this is like, oh, cool. I finally got a nice shock when it has rage, but it has no suffix. So now I feel shit because it's like I gotta now find the exact one I want with the right roll and the suffix. And it has to like it just why couldn't it have just had a even something? I don't know. It just seems strange.
I think they're common enough for it to not matter that much. Like if you're looking for those like very rare mods like rage or like projectiles with like proper base and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's your own fault. And you have trade for that, I would say, because like people just gonna find them and you can buy them, right?
Sure.
That's one thing. And other than that, I think it's like fine. Like if you just targeting the tincture lady, you can just buy them a lot. So I think that's like not that big of a deal. But I do agree that kind of feels bad when you just get one mod tincture. For me, the biggest problem and like missed opportunity is just how uninspiring those mods are. Like most of them is just the suffixes and the suffixes and prefixes. No, the implicits are amazing. I think those are good, but like suffixes and prefixes is some rarity, some pen. Like I don't know, man. Kind of whatever.
I expected them to be a lot higher. Also, if that's the main attraction, I expect, and then they're kind of equating it to be like this tincture is going to feel well. If you're comparing it to charms, it's even worse. But like saying, oh, this is kind of like you're getting another ascendancy, like 2 more points. That's like the value behind this tincture and then some. It doesn't. I don't think it kind of reaches that amount for a lot of them. Like 0.3 strike range. Like that's. It's kind of like flaccid.
Yeah.
Or like steel endurance charges or like 3%
Yeah.
panic. I don't know, man. Like those are kind of whatever, man.
Yeah.
But I would say the implicit, like especially the implicit, like all damage can shock and all damage can freeze. Like those are really good. Like especially if you're, let's say, running an elemental build, and as you mentioned, like you don't have this kind of type of damage, and you can just shock with fire damage, and that's really nice.
Yep.
I think that's a very nice niche.
I like shocking with cold. It feels good. I don't know if it
Yeah,
feels three
especially-
charm slots good, but it feels good.
That,
I mean-
yeah, that was my follow-up. Please finish your thought, Leggy.
Yeah, I would say like I'm the big Tincture apologist because the 30% flask effect on the either side of
Oh,
the
yeah.
Tincture, I think it's like insanely
yeah.
OP. I think it's insanely OP with certain circumstances. So I think that's what saves them.
I kind of wish
Don't
it
bother.
was the two closest flasks instead of either side, because you can't use it with the micro distillery belt.
Yeah,
because it's
I mean that's
the
how it's
fifth
balanced, kind of.
slot is disabled, and you're just like, oh, so they don't work. You can only get one if
Yeah.
you do that, and
Yep.
But still, you can like add stuff like Progenesis, Divination Distillate, like Elemental Flask, Taste of Hate. Like there's so many those OP
Gain a
unique flasks that
projectile
can
on
buff
Dying
them.
Sun.
Well, the
Yep.
troll in me wants to point out you can use a micro distillery belt and then put your tincture between two flasks, but you'd just be stupid to do that.
Legally. Yeah.
No, like the way we're talking about it, I almost wish that, and I know what they were going for, right? They wanted 3 distinct guys that all each do their distinct thing, similar to Expedition, like, Gwenon, Tujin, and Rog. And it makes me kind of wonder why we don't have a Wisp Danik, but a Wildwood Danik. But anyway, the way that they're doing is they want each of them to have their own thing, but I almost wish that the charms were like a more global thing, that we got
Yeah.
like 1 charm slot, say everyone, and then only 2 additional charm slot were on the primalist, and the other guys get their stuff, but they still get the 1 base charm slot or something along those lines. I don't know. Would that be unfair?
Well, right now, I think that'd be too strong. But
Yeah.
You mean then the other
think-
ones would be too strong?
yeah,
I think what
Yeah, I think
fills
that's-
that role is the jewel from the king. I think that's like this one charm thing that everyone gets is the jewel from the king. So if you want
yeah,
those
that's
things,
technically
then
2 charms.
yeah, it's just get this right, and then you can have your nice charms for every character. So I
maybe
think
if they made the charms not stack, it'd probably be more of a choice. Also, I think for a lot of things, there's like the fact that you could just stack the same mod 3 times is a bit crazy.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's really, really good, but to me, that's also why, especially if I was in a trade league setting, like having 6 max res like is a bit crazy, or 8 max res with the jewel. Like that's a bit crazy, for out of nowhere to just get that, especially on things like chieftains, etc. So that's if it was you cannot have the limit to 1 per roll or something, it would maybe be more whatever Swiss Army knife. But now it's like you get your 1 thing and you can go 4 times on it because the jewel.
I just think that there's just not enough like very rare good things on tinctures. That's I think we are having this conversation because of that. It's just there's like 2 or 3 mods that people maybe want on tinctures, and they're like extremely rare. So I'm pretty sad about that. They should add a bit more.
Should have had +1 charge on charms, and then it would have been great. Would have had 4 charms, 4 charge charms each build. Wouldn't even have been having a conversation then. 16 frenzy charges.
You can get minimum charges. Yeah. Like, I can get all my minimum charges.
I can get it. Yeah, that's what my boots on. That's how I get my minimum charges. I will say, I mentioned this to Leggy a couple days ago, or in our group chat, but like, it was very strange when I popped on Rallycash boots and I didn't see charges around me. You get all the benefits of the charges, but it's a little freaky because you're just like you're naked. There's no visual representation for any of the buffs.
Yeah.
So you just have all the buffs, but you don't see anything. It's very freaky looking.
Those boots are so good though. I love those boots. What they did to them.
Very, very strong. It's even crazier with like the Maven belts now also, because you get the best of both worlds. So if you have like a minimum whatever endurance charges from a thing or max endurance charges, you can walk around with 9 brutal charges, put on Rallycash boots, and I still get all the endurance charge benefits.
Yeah.
Like it's so insane. It's so insane for
right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's been pointed out to me. That was one of the arguments to play that Winter Orb Slayer build that I am leveling on the back burner currently.
So Warb Slayer.
Speaking of new uniques, are you guys like excited about any new uniques they added in this patch? Like
the jewel. That's
Yeah, I was gonna say that which was taken. That's crazy. We could fill an entire
and the other
podcast
jewel.
just talking
There's
about
two
that thing.
jewels.
yeah, the 2 jewels. Like I think Baylor got what I was like hinting towards.
Oh, which
because
jewel do you mean?
It's the
the
Trial
Val
Master jewel.
one.
Well, the
Yeah.
Val
Uh-huh.
Temple thingy jewel. Adjourned, I think it's the name of it.
That
That
thing's
thing
insane.
is absolutely nuts. If people didn't caught up on that yet, it is nutty.
Oh,
It's absolutely nutty. So
The Adorned. Okay, we're gonna bring that up on screen.
it's
Give
so
me a
easy
second.
to have like 6 or 8 jewels.
and they literally buffed it in last patch, so it works with cluster jewels now, right? So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, and then
Because,
you can
like-
add synthesize and glisten on top of your blue jewels, and
Uh-huh.
that thing's gets
Or reduce
crazy.
mana reservation. You can have 3% or 2% RMR on each of your jewels also if you wanted.
You
Yep.
can also just have 5% reduced mana cost on every jewel. And then
Yep.
you got 8 of those, and then they get doubled, and suddenly you've got 80%.
Or like corruptions for like reduced effect of
Mana
curses,
reservation
stuff-
efficiency.
stuff like
Yep.
that. It's so
Reduced
many
effect of
things. you can do
shock,
with it.
chance to avoid
Yes.
bleed. Like
Yeah,
there's
the
so
Abyss
much.
jewels being affected is also crazy. I don't know how it does it stack if you increase effect. Does it only apply to magic jewels on the Atlas tree or on your passive tree?
And in
Well,
clusters, any
In
you can
clusters
put in.
now.
Well, I meant like
Yeah, like
Abyss
literally-
jewels in your gear.
No, it's
Oh,
only
It has
on
to be a
the
jewel
tree.
socket, right? Not Abyss,
Yes.
not an Abyss socket. Okay.
Yeah,
think
it says
so.
increased effect of jewel socket passive skills. So yeah, not
Yeah.
sockets on gear. But you could put
Bummer.
Abyss jewels in there, right? And then just
I was thinking
for
like
the ones
Darkness
on your gear.
Enthroned. If it was 250%
Oh, no.
increase.
Oh,
That was
my
where
God.
mind went.
diminishing returns.
Diminishing what? You mentioned like of the uniques added, like both the jewels. I mean, Path of Exile unique jewels are good. Fucking who saw that one coming, right? But like there's of the uniques they added. I don't know why I like that name taker sword. I don't even know if it's good, but that thing looks like a paddle. That makes me kind of happy. That and like some of the new replicas are really strong, but the name taker sword to me, I just want to make something with it. I can't imagine it doesn't seem very good to me, but it just is so goofy looking. I feel like that's want to build something around that. And then
Yeah,
I
I've
guess
seen this one.
the King of the Mist staff, which is probably like a 0.5 drop rate or something. Maybe build that thing.
Which one was that? Wait.
The Burden of Shadows. I imagine it's
Burden
like
of
Winds of Fate
Shadows.
drop rates, so probably atrocious. But the giant potato peeler name taker looks kind of fun. Yeah,
Does look like potato peeler, indeed.
it does. I haven't seen what it looks like in game, and I'm curious if it's like massive or tiny. This is what I think about. This is how I play the game.
Yeah. Lady asking the questions that really matter. Alright. Life tap, cast speed, lose life, added chaos damage equal. Oh, okay. I can see this.
I think
Combine
it's
this with the
atrociously
breaker of
rare.
oaths. Yeah.
I've got a sneaking suspicion it's going to be the 1% drop rate off the boss. Because there's always a 1% drop rate.
Right.
Honestly, crazy to me just thinking about how many good things we got this patch. Like that's the overarching theme for me. Like
Stop
how
jinxing it.
good this patch is.
Don't jinx it.
I'm not
If
jinxing
they hear
anything.
if they hear this, they're gonna do something. Stop it.
When that staff says lose 500 life, if you're just on 0,
That was my thought. Also, it was one of those things where if you're below 500, can you lose 500? If it says, it didn't say like lose up to. I was curious about that. Or like if you're at a very small amount, does it actually work?
Also, like, does it screw with dissolution of flesh?
I don't know.
It says 500 per second, so it's over time, right?
Right, but lose, not take damage.
Yeah,
So
If you have no life, can you lose it? Basically.
correct. That was what I was curious. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, but I'd like to.
Is
Play
it like a
with
chaos and trade? I mean, it's like, I think it's pretty meh as far as usage.
I don't know. I think I could play with if it doesn't kill you if you run out of life, then I think you could use it with dissolution of flesh and do some cool stuff.
It's 20C, so
Probably kills you then. Otherwise, I think it would be expensive.
yeah. You know what's
Wow.
kind of crazy? Trade League, man. Void Forge is 30 divines. Isn't
What?
that nuts?
Who the hell is playing?
Well, Void Forge is, I mean, I knew Fulcrum would be expensive because it always is expensive, but Void Forge being 30 divines seems wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is that because of new melee skills, basically? I mean, transfigured melee gems.
I mean, it's like a very, very good weapon for, two-hand melee attack build. It's probably the best in the game, I guess, damage-wise.
Yeah. But I can imagine a lot of things that I can do with 30 divines outside of buying that weapon.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's behind content people don't really like running too much, typically. Because you have to do, it's
Uber
Uber
Elder.
Elder. So you have someone to do Shaper, which is like, that's a thing. And then doing Elder. People like doing Elder because Watcher's Eyes. There's no Watcher Eye equivalent for regular Shaper.
That is crazy.
Like, I get Fulcrum, I get Rakiatos, I get Kingmaker, but Void Forge being that expensive.
I mean, Fulcrum only got that expensive because of certain content creator. But other than that, yeah, it's crazy that Void Forge is so expensive. I would never think that weapon is like that.
If you didn't know, you could farm a Void Forge from doing Harbinger if you wanted. If you got real desperate.
Well, I mean, I don't have a boss killer for nothing. Time to get them Uber Elders going.
I got so many more builds I want to run. This is insane. Every time we start looking at anything, I'm just like, yeah, I could run a build like that. I could run a build like that. I could run a build like that. I just want to keep making builds.
I will say, I am, for the first time in about, I guess, 3 years, I've made this current account I'm on. I'm out of character slots. I have to delete my non-hundreds in standard to start making room.
Yeah.
I'm always out of character slots because I refuse to buy additional ones.
When I was leveling Flicker today on stream, I did Uber Lab before I started Act 9, and it felt like really backwards. So I walked there at like 60. I think I walked there at 69. I put in replica ferals, put all my stuff, and I walked did like Merc or whatever, Cruel Merc and then Uber, like basically in a row. And I was like, man, I really feel like I deserve to not have to do Acts 9 and 10 now. After doing that. I was like, this is so
just be a skip.
Kind of. I feel like if you're able to do Uber Lab before you finish the acts, you should just get it finished for free. Like, that's...
We're not going to go into that discussion again.
Hands off.
No skipping leveling discussion today.
I don't want to mess with the fragile folks around here, I don't want to...
No, but like, I don't think we can say anything new about that. Guys, if you're super interested, like Lydia and I were both on a pre-league podcast hosted by Slippery Jim, which is up on Jim's channel. And I think Lydia and I discussed like 40 minutes back and forth without any new arguments. We just brought up the same points again back and forth the entire time.
No, that's not true. We each got louder and louder as the minutes went on. But I think I was the loudest, so I was the most right.
Yeah, that's how that works on the internet.
It does. It's an endless debate whether there should be an alternate leveling method. I think in our lifetimes we're going to see something added. It's
a
it's
new
an
leveling
inevitability.
playthrough.
Yeah,
I mean,
the 7
Path of
action
Exile.
pack too.
Yeah, Path of Exile 2, like, I mean, it's going to be so different. I mean, they only let us know a little bit about it so far, right? We're completely in the dark about the latter acts, right? And
Yeah, it's a good thing we're 6 years in development.
Well, I mean, they got to keep something secret for Discovery, right? But the act with the islands, that sounded very promising to me. That like you do it in different orders, and you don't even do all the islands on every character that you do, and then there's different ways to do it. And I'm looking forward to
sure
the
whatever they
playthrough
show
being-
us is gonna be mind blowing the first couple times. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
and
Same
then
like,
you think,
let's say same like Elder Guardian animations. That's mind blowing first time. Then then it's,
or
it's
like
less
watching.
mind blowing.
I'll tell you what. When Val, I remember the day Act 2 came out in Path of Exile, and Val Oversoul came out of the ground for 30 seconds, and I was like, "Wow, look at this cool boss!" And then I had to do it again and again, and it became a little bit less cool each time. I don't think anyone who plays Path is going to say Path isn't going to look really cool and be really cool the first couple times. It's times 10, 20, 30, 40. That's what I'm thinking about, you know? It's like, I mean, like this league. I'm so sick of leveling, but I keep wanting to make new characters. But, you know. Yeah, there'll be some whimsy for sure.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Leggy, did you have anything on your complaint list that you still wanted to talk about after Ladies was so short?
Yeah.
I mean, the main thing is that we didn't get a patch yet that they promised us, which is showing the NPCs on the map, because they did say they're gonna show the NPCs on the map when you discover them. So I'm a person that plays with minimap only, kind of like a minimap. So like, kind of getting lost in the woods is quite annoying, but it's getting fixed. And then Kingdom Mist, it was my main complaint. Like except that, honestly, perfect patch for me. Like actually perfect patch. I couldn't ask for more.
That's a very good point that we're still waiting for a patch, because it doesn't feel like it now after this whole conversation, we're still only like 10, 12 days into the league.
Yeah.
So
oh man,
yeah, there's plenty of well, not reason, but plenty of chances that we still get a decent amount of patch work done, right?
I
mean, it's gonna be like one big patch, honestly. I think it's gonna be one or two big patches, and that's about it. Like that's what they usually did last couple leagues.
I don't know if I'm misremembering. Did they say that there was potential to add more trans gems mid-league, or am I misremembering that?
I think
they were planning it during the league.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. It was a little. Not that I'm trying to find things to complain about, but it was a little strange that some skills got 2 trans gems and other skills got none. I understand that a lot of them were point.
Right, they were like, we want to do 1 at least for every skill, and then the ones that get 2 get 2, and like we can't do 2 for every skill, but we're trying to do as many as possible.
Yeah. No, I was just like, there were certain skills people were like waiting for, like a trans reap and never saw it. Like I understand a lot of this trans skills were kind of relieving the reliance that some skills needed, like like EK firing in a Nova, because without it, it felt kind of shit. So like that's why that got better. Eye of Winter gained like either the spirals happen when it shoots or the spirals happen when it explodes. That was like the 2 different modalities. So like Reap without Awakened Cascade feels a lot more shit than with the regular Cascade. So I'm curious if like it'll be something like that. Like there's going to be a version of kind of all the skills, which is a little bit like Thresholds. Like the Band-Aids are in the gem now, So I'm curious how that's going to be, because there could be things like that for a lot of them. Like Spark got 1, Arc got them, Cobra Lash got like 6 different buffs because it was terrible.
Yeah, I think for now we have plenty of things to play around with, and if they manage to finish more Transfigured gems, I think they probably want to hold them for next league, and I wouldn't hold it against them. I like to have a big batch of new Transfigured gems next league as well. That would be cool if we get, well, maybe not the same amount, but like about 50. That would be awesome.
Did you get so from a solo self-done perspective, now lab is like really lucrative for a couple different reasons. Like it actually doesn't feel shit to just GCP an active gem in Merc Lab. If it takes 3 minutes to do Merc Lab, like I can get a gem from 1 to 20 in like 20 minutes. Like that feels kind of nice. The reward structure of lab, I think, feels really good right now. But it still feels like I'm running a lab, which then feels kind of bad because like lab still takes forever. You know, like doing an Uber lab is still as clunky as ever. What do you guys think about like the lab overhaul? Because I love the rewards, but it still has that kind of stinky lab feel that I can't get around.
It's still lab. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat. It's like I was really skeptical about like everything when they like revealed it on stream. It's like we did a work around lab, we were like redesign, but we didn't do anything about it. Like it's literally you didn't do anything. Like what are you doing, GGG? Like what are you doing? Like, it's so little, like, and they just didn't have time, unfortunately.
Well,
maybe
it's a clear message. It's the same thing with the ultimatum time freeze, really, where we said earlier, you know, the time freeze technology is there. They could have implemented it here. They could have implemented it there. And at this point, you know, there's precedent. There's enough reason to assume there's so many times where they didn't add it when they could have that we know now they probably don't want to. And in the same way, there's been, I mean, this would have been the best chance to phase out lab, right? To instead, like, take away the helmet enchant, be like, there's nothing for lab anymore, and like we're just, you know, making it optional or whatever.
I think when they're gonna have a bit more dev time, they're gonna revisit lab, like the mechanics of lab. So
yeah, they definitely said that.
They done the groundwork for the like what lab gives us, right? But they're gonna, you know, revisit like how we engage with it, right? So I'm hopeful. And on the note of like how it feels, I think it feels amazing, honestly, for me at least as a solo player. I run a bit of lab today myself, and it just feels really engaging. And like you have so many choices. Like if you want keys, you get keys. If you want currency, you get some currency. If you want the quality, you get quality.
It's so just no longer a waste of time. It's like a really good representation of respecting the player's time. When it comes to like, no matter what, that one offering I'm putting in is going to give me something worthwhile. Like I know that for a fact that I'm going to either get more chests, or I can get currency, or I could faceter my gem and I have that for later. Like it's a way of saying this, I'm running this, I'm getting something out. That's without question. Obviously there's like top end snares. I can get exceptional gem. I can get I don't know if there's an awakened gem option, but like something like that could be there. But at the very least I get something. When previously hunting helmet chance, you got fuck all if you didn't get the helmet chant you wanted. So that was that is fixed. That part of it is fixed for sure. And then kind of the same way, the heist update is also where it's like the rewards, I think for Trade League definitely feel better, because having the grand heists homogenized means when you go into a grand heist, there's just 20 chaos there like half the time, that's your like consolation prize. And sometimes you get a fulcrum. It's a little bit less target farming for SSF, but like it still reeks of heist. If you didn't like heist before, it still smells like heist. It still is heist, but at least the reward structure is like way more friendly and there's way more consolation for putting forth the effort. So I think that's like a success in both of those.
I feel like that they made heist a bit more like readable and very more simplified, which I think is the most important thing. Is like there was so many like little moving things in Heist that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to know that, and like now it's a bit less complicated. So I think it's very good. And as you mentioned, like if you go there, you're always gonna get your chaos, and it's gonna be fine, right?
There's still like the parts of Heist that kind of are a little uncool still exist. Like you still have quest contracts, you still have to level up rogues, you still have to unlock rogues, you still have to gear rogues, you still have to go through the unveils. Like all that clunk exists, but at the end of the clunk is a slightly brighter tunnel, which I guess is better.
That's still why I won't run Heist. It's not like in the BPL I've done heisting before, and Heist ends up being pretty fun once you're through everything. Once you've got all your rogues leveled,
Heists are fun. Grand heists are fun.
Like once all your rogues are leveled and you've got the good gear on them all, and you're
Yep.
just gonna like, I'm just gonna run a few Gina unveils, which is like the job portion, which isn't too bad once everything's done and you don't have to do anything. That's great. And then you go into the grand heists, and those are fun. But you have to get through so much stuff.
I know,
And
it's
I'm
a
just
lot.
not doing it.
I don't know.
just don't
I'm
wanna.
gonna be devil's advocate on that one. I think it's not that bad. Like you guys are making it to be like this insane grind to set it up, set your stuff. But like you can level rogues while like running grand heists that you got, and like it takes like from 0 to like fully geared rogues, and like fully leveled geared rogues, it takes like 4 hours, while getting insane stuff from heist itself. So
Yeah.
I think
It's kind of the same discussion as with leveling, right? Yeah, you could allow people to skip it, but then they're like too fast at a point where there's no
I think
meaningful
that's-
change real quickly.
I disagree. Like that's completely different things.
Completely different. Okay.
Yeah, I think like leveling is this necessary thing for like every character to feel that, you start with the journey and you go there, right? That's what
and
they're going
leveling
for, but, like,
rogues and like equipping them is the mandatory way for
Very,
every
very
heister.
little journey feel in that in Heist. I don't really feel the journey as much.
Like I mean, mostly I think. Well, okay, I got it from the wrong foot. Like it's mostly what I was thinking about loot, right? When you just engage with heist, you always get really good loot if you engage with it properly. So like
that's
your loot
where
always
my-
gonna be your loot always gonna be really good if you like don't do it from like level 5 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
The part that I think
it's like
is,
whatever.
with Heist especially, it's a bit like you end up going backwards a little bit, because I'll like, if I start doing Heist while I'm beginning my Atlas progression, I'm progressing the maps, like I probably will not have my Heist stuff finished by the time I get a grand Heist that then requires me to do multiple people the job 5. So then I'm like going backwards and like finding them, and if I didn't get like a one perception, then I get to that part, I then have to like map until I have a level 1 perception drop, because the vendor doesn't want to fucking sell me one. So like obviously that's only solo self-found, not trade. You just buy one, but like if you're just doing from your own your own progression point, it's a little all over the place, which I think can lend itself to that bad experience.
I do agree with that. Like I think I'll give you that. Like it's still too much, but I don't think it's as bad as everyone makes it to be, because like I'm hearing this from the community. It's like Heist is like this amazing thing when you get it set up, but like it takes 2 years to set up.
Yeah, it takes. I think it could take people upwards of to do it, like, because again, it's not just about doing Heist, because most people who do it are doing the Heist as they get the stuff from the lockers while they're mapping.
Yeah.
So that's part of the time, is like, it's not like it's concentrated. It's just like I'm going from contract to contract to contract, unless you just purchase them and trade. If you're going them as you're getting them, that could be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of mapping to finish off your Heist stuff. That's the part that might be a little bit of a ramp.
Yeah, I think the quest contract system is like just garbage.
But that's where
needs to
also
be
like
removed.
quest contracts are actually typically you should do them the first time. They give you a large chunk of rogue markers when you complete them, and then also like things like the twins contract, that amulet, if it hits properly in trade, sells for a lot as well. Like there is money in it, and again, like as you're saying, as you're going through all this, you are making money along the way. Like you're not doing Heist and losing anything. You're only getting stack deck, you're only getting currency. So it's not a waste of time, but it is an amount of time. More so that just people like, it's not mapping. That's the thing. It's just not mapping.
That is true. I think it's enough currency to justify, well, the clunk.
Yeah,
but like,
if you're in trade,
much
for
clunk.
sure.
There is too much clunk. That's definitely true. Like when you look how many quest contracts we get, is like 3 quest contracts
40?
per NPC. Yeah, 3 contracts per NPC, and like other than the additional NPCs is too much.
It wouldn't be bad if they actually had like slots in the Heist locker.
That's what the ass pocket's for. You put all the quest contracts in the ass pocket.
We solved the game, guys. We can go home now.
That's it.
Yep. I'll get up.
Yeah. But Heist now also has such jackpot in it, like because of the simplexes and the rings. Like those things are so expensive. So expensive.
And those things are so insane, man.
They're
Like I
so
cannot
strong.
wait to use it. I cannot wait. It's so good.
They're probably not the easiest thing to find, though. I could.
I'll give you some numbers because I've done some research with some gamers in Trade League. You get one simplex amulet per 1,000 wings of blueprints. So that's like around 300 something blueprints.
And if that's the average, it's then within reason to go, to 2,000 to 3,000. So it's like,
I wouldn't say
that's rough.
3,000, but like it's 2,000 wings.
Yeah.
So that's, I would say, 500 blueprints on
Now,
average per.
as
per
bad as that
blueprint.
sound, you're making 1,000 divines on the way to that. So it's
Yes,
like if you're in Trade League, it's fine. But yeah, that's a journey.
I mean, it's
I was
always
just trying
fun,
to
but like if you want just simplex amulet from
Yeah.
0 to simplex, you have to be prepared for.
I just wanted a
There are a lot
psychotic
of
axe. I couldn't even
doors.
get that. No, there's definitely like there's so many goodies in Heist now with all the replicas, because like replica covenant so good, replica badge has a lot of cool uses now.
Replica Heroes is so amazing. I love
Yep.
that item.
Oh yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
I haven't got to play with it yet, but I want to. It looks so good.
Gotta get that transforked bolt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Heist is
I
good.
also want to play with the replica covenant.
Yep.
I need to look
Yeah.
those all up. I've seen the replica cover. What does the replica Hyres do?
Damage,
It's
big wand
armor
damage.
instead of. Okay.
It's
Like the
lightning
wand
damage for
instead.
wands. Yeah,
Yeah.
for wands instead of bows. And it's
Oh.
like 30 suppression, like big evasion, and
Yeah.
it's
It
so
looks
good.
good.
It's perfect for fork bolting. I'm gonna make it happen. Gotta get
I
your
mean,
fork
it's like
fork bolt and your fury valve, and then you can shoot one.
It's kind of
projectile.
hard to. It's kind of hard to get this amount of flat damage on your wands, like because like rolling a big
Yeah,
flat
yeah.
damage wand is
Well,
honestly
I-
monumental task without recombinators. Like it's
in my opinion,
so many
the only
things.
way to play a Wanda before this league was int stacking. That's the only
Kinda,
way
yeah,
to get enough
yeah.
damage.
Mhm.
Now I don't think you have to do that. I think that chest plus a good triple wand like you would make a bow,
Yep.
and suddenly you've got damage.
I
Honestly,
don't
my
think you
first
need
thought
that
is
triple wand. Yeah,
I would
That's a
probably
recommend-
just use a white wand in Magic Find, like a synth wand. Like to me, that's like all the damage you need on that higher kind of that plus auras, and you could just MF as a wander now.
I mean, you can make a wand really, really easily with that. You just you just spam some essence and like unveil elemental pen and stuff like that, and it's pretty easy, like multi-mod. Make a wand with that, but
You got to
you
get
get
your
all the
Squire,
flat.
get your 9-link wand.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like attack wand, whatever. Yeah, just
Attack
drop a
you
mage blood.
with that.
Drop a
I
mage
will.
blood.
What
I can't
about
even tier 1 maps.
what about Piscators with that?
Sure.
Starter.
2014 called Catmaster.
What
I
is
don't know.
Piscators?
I've never played it. What is
It's
Piscators?
Piscatters.
You're
yeah.
memeing?
So
Piscators.
Yes, Piscators.
I've always wanted to make a build with it, but I missed the window, I guess.
You know what? Now's your
Yeah.
chance, buddy. Windows been opened. There you go. Ready? Windows
Yeah.
opened. Enjoy it. Climb
Attack
on in.
speed, crit chance, accuracy, penetration, increased
more do you
elemental
need?
damage. It just doesn't have damage, but you get the damage from what you said.
Yeah.
The replica Hyres and
I mean, you could
auras.
just do old school. You could just put a crown of eyes on, slap a woe and a wand, and then you're good to go with Hyres. Want to scale it that way? Like, there's no shortage of ways to play wanders. A lot of free damage. though.
We're just here to bully Catmaster. It's okay.
Honestly,
Don't worry
if
about it.
something like if you were in this is going real deep. If you're in Trade League and you had that Hyres, my first thought is honestly totems with the Wilma's Requital, because you can get the cryo helmets and then turn double annoyance into that helmet, and you can get some real juicy builds going.
Yeah, I've seen a post like that on the Reddit today as well.
Yeah.
So that maybe we explain that a little bit for the people who are not as deep in the game as we are.
Fuck them.
So,
Don't tell
like,
them secrets.
Nah, casuals.
No, like just so
Oh.
that they can understand the conversation.
All right. Well, okay, fine.
We
tell 'em.
cannot be gatekeeping here.
Whatever,
So basically, there
Yeah.
are other items. Normally, you can only anoint amulet, rings, and blighted maps, right? But there's some items in other slots that allow you to anoint them, such as the helmet that Lady just mentioned. And you can put 2 anoints on it, and then you can corrupt it and break it into a rare helmet. and that allows you to then use a mythic orb on it, which is either going to delete it, which it does most times, or turn it into a unique. And depending on how many uniques there are in the base, I think Vilma's has other uniques on the base, right? Vilma's is not that easy to get. But I heard Abyssus is relatively easy to make because that's the only unique on that base. So you just need to win the Mythic Orb lottery.
This is like the budget version of, so like I'm playing Flicker right now, and best in slot Flicker amulet is a Carnage Heart, which sounds goofy, but then it's a Carnage Heart that was a Strangle Gasp turned into a Carnage Heart with 4 annoyance. And that's really pricey to do in Trade League. But like you can get some real cool things with the fact that you can Mythic Orb Blight uniques where you're not supposed to. So there's lots of goofy things like the Wilmas you could do.
Well, what do you mean you're not supposed to? You think that's something that they didn't consider when they implemented those?
Chris thinks I don't put maps in my inventory, so I don't think he thought of that one.
I find it hard to believe that most of this stuff isn't thought up. I feel like every build we ever come up with, someone at GGG already knew would exist before we made it.
I think you give them so much credit. Like I don't think so, man. I think they're throwing paint at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like,
I think it's mostly just Neon knowing stuff. You know, it's like Neon and people, that design things. And
yeah, I think Neon's plugged in. He's got that those like matrix ports in the back of his neck. You know, he's into the mainframe.
That's how he lost so much weight.
The PoE. He is the PoE.
He's Poe. Neon Poe.
Right.
I hate when they say Poe. It makes me so irrationally angry every time I hear one of the, especially when the devs say it. Like I'm like, no.
Yeah.
The other people they can say it, but
if IGN or PC Gamer say it, it's okay.
That's fine. But hearing
you say it, like literally, I hear you say it all the time.
I say it ironically. It's different.
No, you don't say it ironically.
Yes, I do. This is our secret conversations. You're not allowed to talk about these in public. You're hearing from my lawyers.
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, any special plans for the holidays? Lots of gaming?
Lots. I do nothing over the holidays except stream even more than I normally do. That's the plan.
I wish.
Only some family dinner and then a lot of gaming. One day I'll stop playing Bow. One day.
I found this.
One day you guys will tune into my stream and it will not be Tornado Shot. I swear it.
It'll be balloons.
You got it on tape.
Yeah.
I found this meme. It was in German. I'm sure it exists in English, but I have to translate it and send it to Balor. It's basically like, when my friends ask me to hang out on Christmas, I tell them I'm with my family. When my family asks, I tell them I'm with my friends. What I actually do, and then just PoE stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's been a fun 2 hours, guys. If you want to bring up anything, feel free to. Otherwise, we're going to round things off. And
I'd like to talk about the Middle East, if possible.
Oh my god. Okay, that's enough.
The Middle East and Rayclast. Right.
Can we talk about Twitch art meta as well? About some
Oh yeah,
Fury things.
That was incredibly funny, dude. Like, I honestly cannot tell you how many times this year I thought that my opinion of Twitch's leadership's competence couldn't go any lower, and then it did. Like, what was that?
I the only problem I have with I'm not going to say anything bad. Just clarify with that. But the only problem I have with the Twitch stuff, because they changed their TOS. I think if they just had the thumbnails blurred when you hit browse, it would solve like all the problems. But like I shouldn't be able to hit browse on Twitch and then see all the terrible things. If those thumbnails weren't there and I had to click into them, then click confirm to view it, like that to me seems whatever. But I shouldn't be able to see horror when I hit browse, and that's like ridiculous. That's crazy.
The worst
It was,
thing I
like,
heard about
real
is like
bad.
people are doing the whole outrage marketing thing now because like they're teasing the forbidden, right? They're not actually doing. But I heard people implement like censor bars, and then they're actually streaming naked, but it's censored, and so it's like walking the line. And if they get banned, then they benefit from that anyway because then their name is in everyone's
Yeah,
mouth,
it's a
and it's on
win-win,
the Reddit
you know.
and wherever.
Any PR is good PR.
I'm not even having an opinion on this.
You can't see it, but he's pantsless right now.
What?
Baylor's not. If
Yeah,
he doesn't
this
stand up, I'm assuming he's not wearing pants.
Yeah, this Catmaster guy. Watch
Yeah.
out for him.
Right.
What's that hat hiding, huh?
My bald forehead.
How dare you?
I mean, light is transparent. I don't know. I don't know if I can trust Catmaster.
It's true.
There we go,
Okay.
guys.
Oh
Better?
my god. Censor that, blur that out.
Magician never tells us tricks, but like, you know, I use double-sided tape in my hat to
Naked
pull
hat.
off my secrets with the hat.
Nice.
Right. So, in that case, I think I'm going to do the outro. Thank you guys for
PoE?
coming on. It was a
PoE good.
blast. PoE good. PoE definitely good. And probably for a couple of weeks. We definitely, if you're still playing in a couple of weeks and not on a bow character anymore, we'll probably like to have you back, Liggy, in a different combination to talk about some other aspects. Because
This guy is huffing copium.
He's like,
He got gaslit, and I'm not.
gaslit, okay. Well, no, I was going to try and segue into that Lighty is going to be missed when the podcast ends, but we're going to see him back here in just a couple of days for our famous 2023 year review of PoE on the 30th of December. That's definitely something that's going to happen. It's going to be fun to go through all the leaks and patches and additions and reductions this year and removals, right? And just, you know, reevaluate the entire year 2023 from a PoE point of view. But before I do the outro, guys, give it up for Lighty and Leggy. Make sure you follow their respective streams and channels. These guys also run a podcast about SSF and the life of SSF with Manny, right?
Manny,
the Plus One podcast.
yeah, it's myself, Leggy, Manny, Easy Trick Shots, all the guy, you know, all titans of SSF. Also Iron Wild, but he's taking a break from Path for now. And then we also have Indeed is friends with us, and he's one of the traders for MP, so he has that trade perspective. But you could ask any of us any questions about Path, and we probably know more than you do.
Sweet insider plug. Nice. Great. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. And guys, check it out as well. If you've missed the beginning of the podcast, this is uploaded in full always to all the podcast platforms. We even have video on Spotify. If you like the podcast, subscribe for more podcasts like this in the future. And we'll see you for the next episode on the 23rd, just in 2 days, the night before Christmas, on 11 p.m. GMT again. And we'll be joined by 2 other gamers that I'll announce in the next couple of days. And other than that, I had one thing on my agenda, and that is something that needs to be said. And that is a huge thank you to everyone who came through last night when my headphones broke and I sent out a desperation tweet. And all of a sudden, like, so many people came through and supported me that I was able to not look at the price, but just buy the headphones that are objectively the best for me. So I want to read out all those names. And big thank you to Michael, Joe, Alan, Mark, Brandon, Philip, Paul, John, Nathan, and Tanner. Thank you guys, and I just didn't have time to put you on the end screen. That's why I'm doing this verbally. But if you've been supporting recently, then your name is on the outro, and we'll see you for the next episode. Bye-bye, and stay faded, exiles, is what my AI description generator always puts in the end. That's like a nice cringy catchphrase. We're going to do that. Stay faded, exiles. All right. Bye, everyone, guys.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.